is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content? Look no further, cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, and pack drops. The shows equate a hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to balls is the Ball Brothers. So settle in, cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Whoa. Hey, sorry, we weren't on.
Whoa!
It's just a blank screen. How is there more new stuff behind you? Now did you move the Raptors penny over to make room for the tiny flag?
No, it's the angle because of the way the sun is shining today, and my camera's already bad enough. It's already bad. No, the camera's good, but it's the quality of lighting. I don't have any lighting in here. I had to move it over a bit so that the kind of weird sunlight outside doesn't totally ruin. You wouldn't be able to see me. Let's put it that way. It would look like I'm coming out of the clouds. So I kind of moved it over a little bit. And that's what's actually on the other side of that pennant is a Raptors flag and apparently a new Easter egg, which I don't know, man. And it looks like there's homework and maybe some like studying stuff on the back.
It's an actual Easter egg, not like an egg, like a secret. It's an actual giant Kinder Surprise egg, which I think in the they don't have Kinder Surprise in the US, right? Isn't it illegal there?
What?
I'm pretty sure that I don't know. People in the US maybe could tell us. You have a brand called Kinder Surprise. It's from Germany.
You're joking.
And it's where it's like a milk chocolate egg that you open and inside there's like a toy. I don't know if you guys have that, but it's super popular. Basically, like that and Cadbury mini eggs like take over Easter in Canada and probably a lot of other places.
No way, man.
Fun thing for kids. I could swear Kinder's illegal in the US. For illegal.
I've always sent my buddies in the US like ketchup chips and all dressed chips. I've never heard of
ketchup chips,
right? Yeah. But I've never heard of them not having Kinder. It's just like we don't have that chocolate bar Babe Ruth or whatever. Baby Ruth? Baby Ruth?
Babe
Ruth? I don't know.
The thing is, ketchup chips is like a very Canadian thing for people in the US who don't know or international. I don't think anybody else has it. I think it's just a Canadian thing. And it's not, I think for us, it's very normal because we've been eating it since we were children. But I think if you think about it, Phil, like if you zoom out, you think about you never heard of ketchup chips, and then you think of ketchup and you think of chips, like how that's kind of gross. Like if you I think to people who have never had it, the idea of like dipping a chip into ketchup is nasty. Like ketchup isn't a seasoning. So I think people initially kind of recoil when you say we have ketchup chips, but they're very delicious. They're fantastic chips.
I have
often
a confession
in a Lay's bag too. Lay's makes them, and in the US they don't have them.
That's right. I have a confession to make though. When we were kids and our mother used to buy mostly like regular chips or whatever, okay? If she would buy regular chips.
Oh no.
It's gonna be disgusting. I would actually go in there and put some in a bowl and dump some ketchup on them because I wanted to like stimulate ketchup chips. Now, why we didn't buy ketchup chips, I don't know. I don't think there was any like restriction on that or anything, but I guess it was just like the disappointment of not having ketchup chips. I used to dump a load of ketchup on them, and it never tasted the same as the actual ketchup powder that goes on these chips. But I think they must be starting to get forms of them in the US because a lot of people know what it is now. But it always amazes me that 10, 15 years later, after I found out that nobody in the States knew what ketchup chips were, they're like, are you serious? That's disgusting. That there's still a ton of them that are like, man, what are you saying right now? Like, that's gross. I would never take
of course.
it, right?
Yeah.
But then anytime I go to the States, there's all sorts of like, there is the wildest kind of chips you could ever think of, like mixes of like, bacon with like, gingerbread man stuff or things like that. And it's just like, that's gross. I don't know why ketchup is gross, but you guys eat ketchup on everything. I'm not sure why ketchup is so like gross to everybody.
Do you remember like 20 years ago when they came out with like different colored ketchup? Like it was just like Heinz was desperate for market share, and they started. It was just like a marketing gimmick, but it was like it's blue ketchup, and it was like literally exactly ketchup. Because ketchup is dyed red, right? It's made with tomatoes, but it's there's a dye to make it the color it is. So they just changed the dye. They just made it blue, and it was just like I don't think I tried it, but there's no way I was putting that. Like there's no way you can't just eat like blue paste on something, right?
No,
then once it's not the ketchup color, like you even think on a hot dog, like once it's not the ketchup color or the mustard color, or the mayonnaise color, it's just paste of a different color. Like it's disgusting. So
if my coffee was like purple every day, like we're talking like really, really intense purple, I wouldn't drink it. That's just not how things work. Your mind is conditioned to a certain color for certain foods, and I just wouldn't eat it. Like imagine your pizza was like all green for no reason. You'd be like, what is this crap? Right? Like, no, leave the original colors. I don't know why they play around with that stuff, but yeah, I'm glad we're talking about ketchup chips. I feel like I don't have I feel like I don't have any wild stories to report, but I do have some things to talk about.
I have some stories. It was Easter weekend. Is it a holiday in the US on the Monday? Because in Canada,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, so
but on that note, there are baseball games today, so which leads me to believe during the day, if there's baseball games, that there's something going on. But from what I saw, I think there was like some horrific shooting or something at a bank or some story like that in Kentucky, which leads me to believe that it's not a holiday. But I could be wrong. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I think Easter Monday is a holiday for government and postal offices.
Yeah,
like that.
Only one daytime game. There's just only the Twins and White Sox game.
Could be the home opener.
It's not like all the other ones start at like 6 o'clock Eastern. So I don't know if it was a holiday. But in Canada, generally it was a holiday on Friday. And you know what I did? Since you always share kind of your story, so I'll tell you, I kind of have a story, at least something fun. And people that are going to listen to this, who've been to First Mint Fest, who've been in First Mint, we've kind of been around First Mint for a while, you understand that like my brain works at this level across all facets of life. So we had an Easter party, right? We've gotten into hosting people come over because we live in a small town, right? We're trying to, the only way to make friends is see this new people, kind of often, and inviting them to like a party of like 10 or 20 people, and also making it open to kids. Most people have kids, right? Be like, oh yeah, bring your kids. Daytime party is a really easy way to start to kind of get to know people, and a really kind of like a party is like a low pressure situation, whereas like having another like couple or family over for dinner is like you have to like stare at them for 3 hours and talk. So it's a lot of pressure if you're socially awkward. So we kind of have parties to kind of bring people together. We had one for the Super Bowl, and we had one on Easter Friday, just this past Friday. But instead of just saying, hey, come over, bring some meat for the grill and come hang out, we told people we were going to have Easter games. And this is the kind of thing where it's like, I feel like we played games that people play in movies and TV shows, but that I have never actually played. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of traditional games. So we organized an egg toss, which is where I told everybody, I was like, you have to find somebody that you don't know in the party, or somebody who's like, you don't live at their house. You know what I mean? Like you can't choose your partner. You have to pick like a different person in the party. So it's like put them in teams of 2. Yeah. Team builder. Well, just kind of like an easy way to break the ice. So we went out on the street and people had to like line up in teams of 2 and toss the egg back and forth. And I would kind of like tell them when to take a step back, throw the egg, take a step back, throw the egg. And it got pretty vicious, man. It got pretty like intense. Like people were accused of cheating, of like taking a few steps forward to try and catch the egg, even though that wasn't allowed. And we actually created a new rule where even if the egg was a little bit cracked, you weren't out. It was only once you could see the yolk. Once you could see the yellow yolk, you were out. So, anyways, these 2 people won. And when they finally won, they showed off by like literally taking an extra 20 feet back from each other and like hucking it like a football and still catching it. While we were doing this, the old man next door like came out, the one with the annoying dog, like he came out and just stared at us. And this guy, I think he must be like 80 or something like that, but he just like, I don't know. I thought he was going to come break it up. Like I thought he was going to be like, "You kids, get out of here," or something like that. But he was just he was just like gawking at us, like he just couldn't believe that there was,
That's when you rip all your clothes off and just dance around in your underwear. I'm all freaking crazy.
That's a good way to make friends. And then we did an egg run with the egg on the spoon. You ever done that? Where you have to carry an egg on a spoon and freaking do a race?
I've seen that.
It was like the whole way down the block, man. Like at least 200 feet, and you had to run. And I participated. I didn't win. I had a strategy that didn't work, basically, where, I was like, I'll start slow and get a hang of it and then speed up after I round the corner and come back. And then as soon as I sped up, I dropped the egg. But then it turned out, it was a very heated race between 2 dudes right up until the end. It was like a photo finish. There was a guy running with them, filming them as they were running towards the finish line. And one guy dropped it. The other guy won. But it turns out that he had a giant spoon. That he had a spoon that was bigger than everyone else's spoon, and it was like a silver serving spoon, like one where like the entire egg, like you could fit 2 eggs in it almost. So that was a lot of controversy after that about whether
that's pathetic. Like, why though?
But he claims he didn't choose that spoon. It was mystery spoons. You had to choose the spoons based on like their bottoms. So it's kind of like picking straws.
So anyways, who provided the spoons is the question. Was it you? You're the organizer.
No, it was my wife.
Well, so that's not his fault that he used an illegal spoon. You act like
who knows? But who knows if some money was paid, because there were prizes. There were prizes to be won, and he was a runner-up in the egg toss. So he was very.
Were the prizes in ETH or what?
No, I don't think anybody that I know needs to hear me talk more about crypto. Honestly, like I don't think they need more exposure.
That's not how you make friends. Yeah.
No, they don't want to know. Especially, I got a few buddies who are like working video games, or like one's an animator. And anytime I say NFTs, they're in the crowd of people that work in that type of industry that they're like, NFTs are the biggest scam of the world. So, yeah, they don't want to hear about that kind of stuff. Anyways, we had fun. We had a fun little party.
That's wild. Yeah. Those things can get really wild. And I have a tiny little story of my own about Easter. And it actually happened yesterday. And we got all the little cousins together, which, there's a ton of them. Okay, there's at least 10 plus little cousins. And the way the things work with the little cousins, I say they range from ages 8 or 9 to only a year old. Okay. And then we're talking the ones who can walk. There's 2 or 3 that don't walk yet. And this was at a house with a gigantic backyard, okay, where we could hide a ton of eggs and have them all come in and find the eggs and fill their baskets. Okay, there was enough for everybody, no matter how fast the older kids were.
How many kids? How many kids are we talking?
I think we're talking at least that participated, like maybe 8, 9, 10. Okay, which is not like a lot, but here's the deal: they were all put in front of the house and told to wait while we hide stuff in the back. Now, on the side of the house, there's a little pathway that leads to the back. And they kept coming through the pathway. So they got yelled at real bad to not come back down that pathway. So me being the instigator that I am with absolutely everything, I decided to do a fake countdown because I knew they'd come right back to the side of the house. So I started counting down 5, 4, and I see all their heads popping from the front, and they start running to the back. I'm like, no, wait, I'm just joking. Go back to the front. And they're like, oh, okay. So the fake countdown got them. As soon as they heard 5,
that's such a Phil
4,
thing.
It really is. So
any kind of countdown in public is such a Phil
countdowns,
thing.
Man. I used to go around malls saying, excuse me, and then look back myself, and then I would turn around and everyone's looking back. I'm like, who the hell's calling? Yeah, just
Phil, I honestly don't know what you're doing working the job you do. You should just be running a just for laughs kind of, you ever see those gag shows? I don't know if they have that in the US.
I love those things, man.
But they play them all the time in Canada, and they're all filmed in Montreal. So it's the same actors. I don't know how people don't realize it's the same people all the time, but it's those gags where somebody will have a lady will be in a park and she'll have a stroller with a baby in it. And then she'll be like, hey, she'll stop a stranger and be like, hey, I need to go run over to my car real quick. Can you watch my baby? And then, the stranger will say, yeah. And the stranger's the one getting pranked. And then they'll have a remote control on the stroller and make it start driving away and go down a hill and crash in the water. And the mom will come back and be like, what did you do? And it'll be like,
or a fake cop will come around and be like,
the fake cop. Yeah, the fake cop.
No.
It's always the fake cop.
Why isn't this your kid? Yeah, why are you holding this kid? All right, come with us.
The fake cop is so good.
I love those.
Anyways, those are dime a dozen. They crank those.
No, the equivalent in the US, and I watch all these videos, is the ones in Home Depot that man, I saw one the other day where the guy is holding a drywall. And he puts it over other people, and they freaking lose their minds, man. And there's a ton of them. Anyway, so back to the story, which actually it's funny you say that because that leads to something else after. But anyways, so finally it was time. The eggs had been put away, they were hidden, and it was time to go in. So I called them. I said, all right, you guys go beside the house, and on the count of 5, you're going to go in. But what we did is we lined them up from smallest to biggest, just to make it fair. You can't have the big guys at the front.
Kids,
yes.
Okay, yeah. So
in terms of height. So the smallest one at the front, I think he's about 2 years old. And then, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6. And the 8s and 9s at the back. And there were strict instructions.
8s and 9s against 2-year-olds?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
You might as well give the 2-year-olds a 10-minute head start, man. They don't know what the hell's going on.
This is the same crowd, though. But the younger ones are well conditioned because they've been through a lot of piñatas with these same older kids. And in the piñatas, it's an absolute Royal Rumble. Things happen in there that you would never imagine. So when I noticed that at some of these parties years ago, I said, I have to film every single one of these chaotic rumbles because then we get to see what really happened. So anyways, so it's time now. They've been lined up. They've actually been warned that if any of the big guys pass any small people, when the countdown ends, before we enter the playing ground where all the eggs are hidden, that they're going to be disqualified and they're not going to allow it to have any. So sure enough, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And all hell breaks loose. And all I hear within a couple of seconds, and I look down because it's in the alleyway below, is I see someone down and injured. Okay. So now we have an injury. It's a little girl. She's hurt. She's fallen into a hole and is hurt.
A hole? So I run, yes. What do you mean, a
under the deck?
Hole?
Went under the deck into a hole, launched off the platform under the deck and is hurt.
Yeah.
And she's crying. Yeah. So I scream out, hey, we have an injury. I yelled, if you want. I said, I'm filming all this. I'm like, we have an injury. And someone suggests that we stop and start over. But if you saw the madness, these kids were not listening. They were like 5 or 6 eggs deep each. They were not stopping and starting over. There's zero chance. So anyways, so she's being tended to. And after, when things finally calmed down, I said, well, guess what? I was filming the whole time. It's time to go back to video replay and see who's responsible for this and see what happened, because somebody pushed her. If the rules were followed to stay in a straight line and walk in calm fashion into the war grounds, then there wouldn't have been a problem. So someone obviously launched her off that platform. So we went back to video replay. I guess we're conditioned now to have video replay for everything, including Easter egg hunts.
Thanks to you. Yeah, because especially since you're doing it. Yeah.
Well, that's the best part is I found out there was a second angle. We were debating the first angle, and then there was a second angle that was provided to me that confirmed the first angle. But it turns out that one of the 3 big kids, the 8 or 9-year-olds, extended a stiff arm on the way in on another kid. But that stiff arm on the other kid, the kid that was stiff arm did not go down, but the stiff arm they kind of messed up the entire balance of the group going in. And that's when the girl got launched in the hole. And making things worse,
collateral damage.
It was her own brother that did it.
Oh.
There was about 5 different families with kids, and it was her own brother that caused the big
fire, collateral damage.
It was hard to tell on the angle that I have. We even slowed it down as much as we could. And so we got another angle, and the other angle 100% confirms that the culprit was the culprit. We're talking not even like the call on the field stands. The call on the field is now confirmed, right? So pretty and the best part is watching this video again. I caught like 3 or 4 more infractions. Like first of all, they all started moving at 3 seconds, not at 0. They started moving at 3, and the big guys all passed the small guys, so everybody cheated. So anyways, you're obviously not going to take candies away from kids. It is what it is. She ended up being okay, and that was it. But man, you have no idea how much I enjoy this stuff. Like I can't wait. There's going to be another 3 or 4 kids in that game next year, and I can't wait already.
There was an event like that happen. I was at like years ago when I was in town visiting. I forget whose birthday it was. Yeah. But you guys did this game with these kids, with all these cousins. I was talking about this the other day. It, to me, is still the most entertaining game you could ever have at a kid's birthday party. Is, and I'm sure other people have done this. Where basically what you guys did is you made this kind of like little pen, and what you did is you just kind of put like tape down on the ground, but you could actually make a cage if you needed to.
I know exactly.
Maybe like a 12 by 12 foot cage kind of thing, or 15 by 15 foot, like an arena. And what you guys did is you tied 3 balloons to every kid's foot. So every kid on their like left or right foot had 3 balloons attached to them, just normal size balloons. And then when you guys said go, it was like a free for all. And what they had to do is stamp out each other's balloons on their feet, and then whichever kid was left standing won. And it's something where it's like it was like the most chaotic, insane thing of like kids trying to stomp on each other's feet, basically. And it was like Mario Kart style, right? In Mario Kart, you got these 3 balloons, right? And it was Mario Kart Battle, right? Remember that on Super Nintendo, Mario Kart Battle, right? So you have these 3 balloons, and you have to kind of take out the other kids, and that's exactly what it felt like. And that was like we were making side bets on the side, like there's making prop bets. Like that was one of the most fun, hilarious things I've ever seen. So no doubt, being in Phil's community is the place to be.
But that's not even my favorite thing about those things. It's more like the side things, like that game you just described. It's great, but you'll always have the little ones who can't really compete because they get theirs popped first, and then they throw a fit in the middle of the ring, right? Like they get pissed, and because everyone's laughing, it's natural for everyone to laugh when a kid has a fit during one of these games. They get enraged, and then they just start like tackling everybody or hitting people. Man, that's my favorite part. Is just
no kid wants to be laughed at.
I pour so much gasoline on these fires, man. Like it's just watching these kids go at it is so wild. Like kids are always going to be kids, and I have so much fun with it. So good times.
More on the NFT side. I'm glad you had a great. It sounds like we both had some entertaining Easter weekend. So congrats to everybody. On the NFT side. We have our opening song, which is done by Just Los. And last night, I went on the NFT Catcher Pod, which is hosted by Jen Sudo sisters. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You're thinking of Juan Soto, the baseball player.
I heard somebody say it. Soto. Anyways, Jen Soto and Michael Keane, I think, who have been doing that podcast like for a super, super, super long time. And they had me on. and their intro song is also done by Los. So but they didn't know the story of First Mint Idol, which is a live show we did 2 years ago, where we had you and Karmashachi be the judges, and we had you guys close your eyes and slowly turn around while we had different random contestants from the community do a rap freestyle about NFTs. And Los, who does our song, won that, and he won a friggin' MGLE pack, which was worth like $1,000. And in return, he, to thank us, he did he gave us a new intro song. Anyways, he also did theirs, which is pretty sweet. Cool. So I didn't actually realize that until I was on the show and they played the song to start. So that was pretty cool. He's a man of many talents and has done a lot of other things.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. I thought Los, like, that's like kind of that's the equivalent of someone finding out that their girlfriend's been seeing someone else. Los has always been ours.
Here, I'm gonna play it for you.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah,
wow.
This kind of I just pulled it up. This is what it sounds like.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the Blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher podcast.
What's up, everyone?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty sweet.
Right.
Pretty sweet. Right. I thought it was cool. I was like,
cool.
good. I was like, I'm glad he should.
Good for him,
get
man.
out there, right? Yeah,
he's very talented, and I feel that I'm probably not the best time now, but if he had put out like an NFT album or something like that could have been huge. Because he's very talented. Everything he says is so catchy, man. It's pretty special. Like he's been a good buddy of ours for a long time. We didn't get to connect with him in NFT NYC last year, unfortunately. He was at some basketball event, and we were just like, we just didn't have time for anything.
I hung out with him at the first NFT NYC that I went to. Actually,
cool.
He came out one night and hung out with us, and it was awesome to just jam with him. But real quick, a few other things going on. Actually, something for everybody who listens to the podcast, and many of you have already done this, but we have a contest going on right now for the prize is a Luka Top Shot debut moment. Ooh. Something you probably won't need for another 6 months or so, but very high price moment. I think it's like going for like $400 or $500. That is a prize that you can win by doing one very, very simple thing: going to Twitter and retweeting the tweet that I'm going to post. I'm going to put it in the podcast description, and going on iTunes and leaving a nice or not nice, you say whatever you want, but leaving a review on our podcast stream. So very simple. Go leave us a review. Say something that you like or don't like about the podcast. Even better if you leave a star rating. 5 stars is great. And then retweet that tweet, and we'll probably wrap the contest up sometime midweek. So you still have a couple days if you're listening to this on Monday night or Tuesday morning or whenever. We'll probably wrap it up end of day Wednesday. So go ahead and do that. And who knows, maybe there'll be a few other prizes for some more participants. Maybe there'll be more than just the Luka. But yeah, we'd really appreciate it as we are trying to get in there in the iTunes algo. Trying to game the algo, trying to get in there and have a bunch of reviews helps us out.
Big shout out to everyone who already did it. I saw a lot of people kind of tag us into what they said and some really, really nice stuff. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you guys, for real. Seriously, it's really awesome. I mean, sometimes I even heard from some people that I didn't even know listened to the pod, right? So I was like, oh, cool. I didn't even know you actually.
Some people I think saw it on Twitter and haven't listened to the show in a long time because they're like, this is the best Top Shot podcast. And I was like, yes, maybe. I'm sure there's other shows that only focus on Top Shot that do a better job of talking about Top Shot than we do, because we talk about it briefly at times. But I was like, I'm glad that some people haven't really checked in with us since then. But that's fine. That's fine. But for people who actually do listen, people like listening to my words right now, please go ahead and please go and do that if you have even just a couple seconds. If you're listening on Spotify, which some of you do, the link for iTunes will be like literally the first thing in the description of the episode, so it won't be that hard to go and find. So thank you in advance for everybody who does that. Phil, I was texting you late Saturday night and I wasn't hearing back, and I was very upset because I was watching UFC 287, and usually during these, especially for an Israel Adesanya fight, usually, Phil, I know that you're going to be responding to me all night. Yeah, there was an awesome knockout, John Font knockout 2 fights earlier as well. But Phil, I didn't hear back from you until like an hour after the Izzy fight, which was freaking awesome, man. So did you end up watching it? Did you watch the replay?
No. So I haven't I saw the Izzy fight. Yes. I haven't watched the entire pay-per-view. I usually watch the entire thing back over again if I didn't see it. But just to give a bit of context here, because it was Easter weekend, and when it's Easter weekend, we don't really miss any of the church events. So there's Good Friday where you go to church for Good Friday. It's about a 3-hour thing. There was that. Then on Saturday at midnight is one of the bigger events. And we went at Saturday at midnight, and then Sunday typically, you may or may not go on Sunday as well. But if you went at midnight the night before, you don't go on Sunday in the afternoon or in the morning or anything like that. Anyways, and that all starts with Palm Sunday the week before. Now, it always pissed me off so much how many sporting events fall at the exact times of these church events. And listen, all right, you know me, right? Like I have the biggest FOMO. Like I don't think it's anxiety, but I literally lose my mind if something's going on. I'm in the church because we don't really sit at the back or anything. We're kind of near the front. So, and the priest, first of all, on Saturday night at the midnight mass, the priest hunted me down in front of everybody. He's like, there he is, the troublemaker. I'm like, dude, what? And I said to him, I said, well, I don't have gum in my mouth this time, man. Look. And I showed him my tongue. Because I've been busted with gum in my mouth many times in church. But
so you can't chew gum at church.
Well, you're not supposed to. No, you're not supposed to be chewing gum in church.
Okay. Okay.
But I've also been caught so many times watching sporting events on my phone. Like the Easter always falls around the Masters. And if it's on the Sunday, it's usually like the most important round of the Masters, the final round. And I'll actually turn it on. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, it actually fell on Game 7 of the Leafs and Washington Capitals. And I was bombed. Okay. So I was driven to church and parked right in front. I stayed in the car to watch the overtime. And that was the game. No, it couldn't have been Game 7. It had to be Game 6 to force Game 7 because we haven't won a series in 19 years. But anyways,
I don't think there was a Game 7 in that series, was there?
No, there wasn't. No, it was a game. No. There had to be. Whatever game it was, we were facing elimination and the Leafs stayed alive against Washington.
Oh, okay.
And I was outside and church had started. So I'm like, man, what am I going to do? So I stayed in the car and I listened and I went freaking insane in Parkdale area of Toronto. Most people would not be hanging out in ever. And that was that. So going to church for Easter has always been something I absolutely love doing. It's fantastic. The events are very special, but you do miss a lot of sports. So I remember we had planned to watch the UFC, and then we realized we had to go to church at 11:30. And I'm like, man, you know what? We'll probably be able to see the beginning, but we're not going to see the main event. So I don't know what we're going to do. Now, sure enough, when church ended, and it was like, hey, everybody's saying Happy Easter and all that. Then the first conversation we were all having was like, oh man, did you hear Izzy knocked him out? We're trying to pull up the videos, the phones were out. But yeah, I guess I missed something really good. I did not see any of the other fights yet. I did not see the Masvidal fight yet. But yeah, I'll probably rewatch the pay-per-view sometime tonight, to be honest with you. It seems like it was worth it.
It was definitely worth it. And I'm just going to pull up now, and I'm sorry to play this if you haven't seen it yet, Phil, if you're planning on rewatching.
Oh, no, I don't care. I don't care. I know everything that happened. So.
I mean, I loved like it was such a letdown when he lost last time, even though everybody was kind of predicting it because Pereira was like the only guy who had ever beat him, basically, right? Who had knocked him out twice at kickboxing. But what I liked is that he basically Izzy basically called a shot beforehand, right? Where he's like, I'm gonna like finish this fight early, and which is super cocky, saying that you're gonna do that against the guy that beat you last time, but also that he then like kind of goaded him into it, where it's like during that second round, he kept kicking like Izzy's leg, and Izzy kept like kind of recoiling. I don't know if that was fake or not. Like, I don't know if he was doing that but it seemed like Izzy was having a bad fight or he was in trouble. And then at one point he just started letting Pereira just pummel him. Like, he was just kind of taking the shots, and Pereira like let his guard down so much. Like, he was just standing there. Izzy's against the fence, and Pereira is just like taking his time, winding up these blows, and then like Izzy just breaks it and just does like a 1-2 crack, and then one more crack, and Pereira was like out. Like, he was out where like he didn't get up for a while, like for a long time. And even when he got up, you could tell like he was fucking messed up. Like, he didn't know where he was, and I don't want to celebrate people being like brain damaged too much or anything like that, like super knocked out. But that was like, that's a clean knockout, like that, and like even Izzy gave him like one hammer punch, but then like literally stopped and just put his hands on Pereira. It was just like, okay, I'm just going to stop. Even before the ref stopped it, because he was like clearly dead.
What about the taunting of the sun, man? I saw that.
Yeah. So basically, the taunting of the sun is that during not when they fought in UFC, but when Pereira knocked out Izzy in like one of the kickboxing fights. I think Pereira's son like mocked Izzy like after the fight, like in the ring.
In the ring.
Yeah. So that by playing dead, like beside him, like super disrespectful. But the kid was like, I don't know, 6 or something like that. So then Izzy, after he won, first of all, he stands up over Pereira, shoots an imaginary bow and arrow at him like 3 different times, and then walks over to where Pereira's son is, points at him, and then like mocks falling down dead in front of him. Like I love like, as much as some sports, it might not, it's less okay to maybe showboat. I think if there's anything where you should, it's totally fine to do that. It's UFC, where you literally like are putting your life on the line and standing in a ring beating the shit out of each other. I think it's totally fine for these guys to really show how happy they are, and also absolutely to showboat a little bit, man. Like this isn't baseball where it's like, hey, that's not okay to flip your bat. Like no, this is like, you killed him, and that's like,
it's an interesting topic because it came up recently with what's her name? The college basketball, is it Caitlin Clark, the women's basketball player for Iowa, who was taunted by, I think it's Angela Reese of LSU. Anyways, Angela Reese, so they were talking about that for weeks and weeks and weeks, and ever since the championship, and we still hearing about it.
Angel Reese.
Okay, I knew it was Angela or Angel. Sorry, Angel Reese.
Yeah,
who's a tremendous player. And for me, it's like, there's sportsmanship, but when you win a championship, man, it's like, it's hard to explain unless you're an athlete. And even we would never be. We both played sports, LG. I've won championships. You've won championships of some kind, but we still don't know the feeling of winning a championship at a professional level or an elite level, right?
No.
And I think it's such a mix of emotions and release of like everything that comes out when you do win, that maybe sometimes you forget a little bit, things you normally wouldn't do. Now for Angel Reese, like, guess what? Like at first I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. But the more I saw it, I was just like, you know what? If that was me on the other end of it, I had been doing, if I was someone who was not a trash talker, and I was someone who was, because I am, when I play any sport, I just talk nonstop. Right?
I know.
I don't do stupid things, but I just nonstop talk. I just can't help it. Right. I have a big mouth like that. But if someone gives it right back to me, for me, it's, and I've always taught the kids I coach the same thing. Whatever happens out there, it ends on the ice, on the field, on the court. Okay. There's don't I catch you ever fighting in the parking lot, in the hallway, any of that crap. That's not part of sports. But whatever you do on the court, if it's within the rules or whatever, man, that's the emotions of the sport. But if you're mad at someone, you better not be trying to find them in the parking lot. Now, that's bullshit. You had an opportunity to do something about it on the court, on the ice, whatever. Do it there. So what Angel Reese did, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it was a little over the top. But hey, who are we to tell her how to celebrate, really? And, even Caitlin Clark said it. She's like, well, it is what it is. That's just like, I'm not mad at her. It is. I was talking trash the entire time. Listen, they were different, though. What Caitlin Clark was doing was very different. She was kind of doing that John Cena motion to her bench and things like that. And then Angel Reese did it to her. But it's all, to me, it's all within the scope of the competitive aspect. And people blew it up to a level where it was like, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want her to be suspended for a year? Like, what do you want out of this? Okay. Heat of the moment. It's a championship. It's just been won. And it's a big release of emotion, right? Just like Izzy. Oh God, look what he did to his kid. That's awful, awful person. But no, if the kid is at that age, is able to sit ringside, and forget sit ringside, if he's able to enter the ring after his dad wins, where he should never be entering because who knows what happens in there, then the kid is okay being taunted. I actually loved it, and I couldn't stop laughing. It's going to sound awful. I couldn't stop laughing when the kid was crying. I just couldn't. I'm like, this is actually hilarious because it's such a good storyline. Like, is Alex Pereira pissed off now? Like, is he furious that Izzy did this to his kid? Right?
Maybe. Like, I don't know, but I think it's like it's all. I think for UFC, like okay. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. One, I'll say that like the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing, without having followed it too closely, like that's still a team sport, and I think there's still something to be said for you kind of putting yourself a little bit ahead of the team, above the team, which is not exactly what happened there, but I think that it's like at the end of the day, basketball, especially college basketball, that's a team sport. It's something where, some people are going to get heated, but also kind of go in the media, say things, whatever, is like, that's a little bit outside of it to me. It's like, that's where, like you're saying, finish it on the court, but it's like at the end of the day, you really got to think of your team as at first, right? A team first mentality is always what wins championships. So that's where something like that is different to me than something like UFC, which is like literally like, yeah, you have your team of trainers, but it's like there's only one person in the ring. You know what I mean? Like you're the one fighting, you're the one who's got to get.
Nobody's talking about the trainers after anybody else.
No, there's nobody. Yeah, if they are, then the UFC is not doing its job, and the fighter's not doing his job or her job. You know, to be the celebrity. Like it's like the UFC fighter is supposed to be the celebrity. So I don't know. I think that kind of stuff's okay. And honestly, back to kind of like the bigger picture of what this means for the UFC. Like I was texting you, Phil. It's like UFC has had kind of like a bit of a star problem in the last little while, and I think guys like Izzy trying to make it more fun, trying to be really flamboyant, trying to be wild. Like I think that's a good thing. Like the UFC needed that the other night. You know, they needed that badly. They need more moments like that, and they're clearly trying to prop up certain stars, maybe helping them win fights here and there to kind of fast track them. So we'll see. And hey, also UFC is coming back to Vancouver. So you're gonna be in my neck of the woods on June 10th, very, 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 very shortly. So hopefully I'll go. Hopefully I'll find a way to go.
Are you gonna hit up people at UFC Strike? Like I don't know if we know anyone there anymore. Are you gonna hit anybody up and see what's going on? Or are you gonna go do like GM?
I wanted to get the new guy. I wanted to get what's his name, Rob, I think. I wanted to get him on the show at some point, do an interview. Because I did an interview. Actually, I'm gonna put this out in a couple of days. I did an interview with Noah from All Day the other day. And chatted with him one-on-one. So just in the process of editing that. So that'll come out this week. And I like, you know, unfortunately there's been some GM turnover on the Dapper side in the last year, but whenever there is a new person in charge, I think people like hearing from them. And I like First Mint being one of the places where they come and talk about it. So for the UFC Strike team, for Rob, which I think is the guy's name, open invite, come on the show and talk about it. Or hey, open invite to fly to Vancouver. I'll take the ferry over to Vancouver and we can go have a beer and go to the event if you want to bring me. I'm down. If you want to bring me to the event, I'm very, very, very down. And I also have a buddy who's very much into that stuff. So maybe a little +1 would be nice too. So anyways, last thing before on UFC, I just did want to play Izzy's victory speech, because if anybody watches UFC, you know that typically when a fight ends and they declare the winner, that you can always see Joe Rogan kind of lurking in the background, or Daniel Cormier sometimes, right, depending on the star power of the fight. But often, especially for the big ones, Rogan is lurking, waiting with his microphone to come in and interview the winner. And what I like about this is that Rogan comes in and Izzy just leans over to him, is like, just give me the microphone. I don't want to ask questions or something like that. And Rogan's like, okay. And Izzy just takes it. Like Izzy really wants to be in like I could see if Izzy kind of flames out from UFC, like wins a couple more title matches, remains the champion, and then flames out and he's done. I could totally see him going to the WWE. I think he like clearly wants to do something like that. So, you know, following who else has gone to WWE from UFC? Like Ken Shamrock way back. Ronda Rousey. But
actually, no, Brock came from wrestling, I think, and then went
Brock
back.
came from wrestling. Yeah, he came over from wrestling, which is insane. All right, let's watch the clip.
Let me just hold the mic real quick.
Yes, sir. Hey, shush, listen up. I want to say something. People.
Inspirational music.
I need to say something. Listen to me. I hope every one of you behind the screens or in this arena can feel this level of happiness just one time in your life. I hope all of you can feel how fucking happy I am.
I didn't realize this had music like this.
Who planned that?
You will never feel this level of happiness if you don't go for something in your own life. When they knock you down, when they try and shit on you, when they talk shit about you, and they try and put their foot on your neck. If you stay down,
crowd is bored,
you will never ever get that resolve. Fortify your mind.
Well, there wasn't music.
And feel this level of happiness as you rise. One time in your life.
But they're not even reacting.
To be able to feel this shit again and again and again and again and again.
Okay. There wasn't, when he was saying it, Phil, live, there wasn't that music. That music wasn't there, just so you know. That's whoever uploaded this.
Okay. I was going to say
whoever uploaded this decided to add like super, you know, when you go on YouTube and it gives you like highlights of most motivational speeches ever, and it's like the speech from Any Given Sunday and like Remember the Titans, and then now this will be added to like the echelon of like motivational speech, sports speech highlight reels. So I don't know who added the music, but awesome.
But
moment.
With UFC fighters, I kind of prefer when they grab the mic and they just go ballistic, like talking shit to someone. You know, like
yeah, that was very.
And then they call out like 3 or 4 people. Like I miss those days, and that for me, especially when those people are ringside and they would like jump in the ring. It seems like after Connor and so many things that Connor did, including like the big bus attack, and Connor always had a habit of jumping into the octagon, like when it wasn't his turn to fight, he would like confront people, or people would come and confront him. It seems like after Connor's antics, they really cracked down on that stuff. And you know, I know they used to pretend to not like it, but it, you know, anytime someone jumps in the octagon that doesn't belong there, things get spicy, right? But it seems like they've cracked down on it because Connor got in a lot of trouble for that bus incident. Was bad, man. Like, the
bus thing was bad, right? And I think they don't want like I think there's yes and no. I think if you are someone of Connor's stature, which you could easily say Connor is the biggest star the UFC's ever had. Not best athlete necessarily, but biggest star. You know what I mean? Like you walk down the street, ask people to name you one UFC athlete ever, the most will say Conor McGregor. I don't think there's anybody even close. But I think so. Maybe if you're at his level, when he does crazy ass, scary things like tries to assault people on the bus, obviously that's bad. But knowing how Dana White runs things, that is not the worst publicity, especially if you want to build like a comeback story kind of thing, that it's like the UFC is very much on that very fine moral line. But also that someone like Conor is a good person to make an example of, right? Because at the same time, as much as there might be a really small line there where it's like, hey, it's not okay for Conor to do that, but we're not going to be as crazy harsh on him as we would anybody else. You still need to make it super clear that like nobody's allowed to do that, right? And that it's like, yes, like only if you are at the absolute pinnacle, like a Conor who has transcended the sport into pop culture, will we leave the window open for you to come back one day because you are like, and that's like the classic sports redemption style that every story that everybody wants to see, like Tiger Woods, you know what I mean? Like everybody wants to see the old super famous prodigy champion who's had this enormous fall from grace. Everybody wants to see them come back, no matter how horrible the things they did. It's just kind of the way that the mentality works. I think for that kind of stuff, it's like you can't let anybody below Conor McGregor just do that. Like, there's no way. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
Jorge Masvidal recently went into a restaurant in Miami and knocked somebody out. Who was it?
That's right.
I forgot who it was, man. But
he retired anyways. Yeah, he had a good little speech at the end there.
That was it was a listen. I haven't watched it yet. Before, and I hear it was a good card. I knew it was a good card coming in. I can't wait to see it. And I did see a video clip. I don't know how familiar you are with the rap world, LG, but there's a rapper that goes by the name of Tekashi 6ix9ine. Okay. And the big thing with him is that he was put in jail for he's going to be put away for a long time. He apparently snitched on, the gang that got him in there. Yeah. He turned them all in for to be released. And so he was facing 25 years for, racketeering and all these for whatever reason, he attached himself to the Bloods in New York, whatever the whole story is. They ended up like kidnapping him and like, taking his girlfriend and all these crazy things like that. So when they all got busted, he turned all of them in exchange for freedom. So in the rap world, that's a big no-no. If you snitch, you're public enemy number one. But ever since he's gotten out, a couple of years ago, and he does make good music. I'm not gonna lie, I find his music catchy, and people don't like the guy, but I think he's, even before all of this, LG, this kid would go to like Mexico, or I think he's from Mexico. His mom's from Mexico. She lives there, and he would go to poor neighborhoods and give out tens of thousands of dollars. It's just how he is. He gives back to his communities big time, but he's also very cocky, he's arrogant, and people don't like him. He's very flashy. And when he got out, he kept saying, "Hey, look, I'm here. You guys all said you'd come kill me and all that, and I'm walking with no security. Come find me." Like, where's all these guys saying when I came out that they were going to do something about it? None of you guys. So he recently got beat up real bad in a gym in, I think it was Orlando, in the sauna. And these idiots that did it filmed him, and they had nothing to do with him, but they decided to give him a beat down and film it and put it online. Now they're all in jail. But anyway, so he recovered from that. That was like a couple of weeks ago. And he went to the UFC, and I saw him going in, and TMZ was like, "Hey, 6ix9ine, what's up, dude?" Like, they're like, "Who are you going for tonight?" You could tell he has no clue who's fighting. He's like, I don't know. And then they're like, he said Nate Diaz or some shit. I couldn't stop laughing. Or he said he likes. They're like, "Do you like anyone at least?" And he's like, "Yeah, Nate Diaz." I'm like, okay. A lot of, long story short, a lot of these celebrities just show up because that's the hot event in town, man. The UFC is still popping, right? So,
that is actually kind of what I like about it, right? It's like there's, in terms of celebrities going to sports events, it's like, yeah, sure, like the occasional basketball game, there's some random celebrities. Obviously in LA, way more normal because they all live there. When I went with Jurassic Pack to the Blazers game, Will Ferrell was there, which was super random. Like I still don't like, it was like midway through the game, they're like, everybody say hello to Will Ferrell. They just showed him on the thing. It's like, why?
I was gonna say maybe he's part owner, but no, he owns like Los Angeles FC, I think, right?
No, this is in Portland. This is
I know that's what I mean. I thought he was maybe part owner, but he's not.
Yeah. But UFC is definitely something where it's like they like having celebrities there, either other fighters or just random celebrities. And it is like it has taken over, obviously, as kind of like with the place that boxing used to have, is like that's the big Saturday night event. Obviously, it's still some boxing matches, but not nearly on the same level, or I would say the same star power as UFC currently. Phil, a lot of things to talk about today on the show. Well, some different stuff. I do want to talk about NBA playoffs and ask you about Sorare, and then also check in on baseball. And Dapper very discreetly Friday afternoon put out a play policy for the employees, or an updated play policy for the employees. I don't know if you caught wind of that. But I've got a copy of it here, so we can pick through that. And I do have a couple of quick hits at the end of kind of like Shaq in a Fool style things, including one that is about Shaq, and the other one being about Des Bryant. So we'll get to those, and then we'll do hot take of the week. So we can actually start NBA playoffs. Phil, without even asking you any questions about the playoffs, what are your takes on the playoffs? What do you have to say about this year's upcoming slate? First of what is titled the postseason, not playoffs, or the play-in tournaments, and then the actual playoffs, which will start on Saturday and are one of the world's greatest 2-month tournaments.
What I enjoy about the NBA the most, and this is the case 365 days a year, 24/7, is that despite not being ESPN's number one choice to discuss when they start all their shows, like if you watch First Take and all those shows in the morning, they don't want to lead with the NBA. They always want to lead. Like Aaron Rodgers now, and I'm sick and tired of it, I really am, has been the lead story on First Take and all those shows for the last like 2-3 months. I've had enough. Like, honestly, it's still ongoing. They bring in new analysts every time to say what they think's going to happen and how great he would be in New York. Anyways, I'm sick of hearing about it. But the NBA has always made the most valid attempt of all the sports to be the most talked about sport because of all the drama that goes on. Okay. Look at yesterday before anything else as a number one example. Okay. I'm expecting it's final day of the regular season. Everything should go smoothly. You're going to have a bunch of randoms playing in these games. It's fantastic. Actually, you're going to have all these randoms playing in their first NBA games, or guys who were on the bench all year scoring 30, 40 points. I look forward to hearing about stories like that, but unfortunately, that's never going to make it, top stories on SportsCenter.
Udonis Haslem having a great final game.
Yeah, exactly.
Seasons, it's always like there's always the end of the season is always like feel good stories. Like,
that's
hey,
right.
This journeyman is going to play a full game. Mac McClung had like 20 points the other night or whatever.
Exactly.
His first NBA points or whatever. It's like, that's nice. But then there's a few teams. It's like they're still playing hard because they're fighting, for that last playoff position, right? And then playing a team that's out of it. So it's kind of a funny balance of like when the scrubs or no names beat the team that's actually trying, who needs to
I love the scrubs, man. I think it's such a great time of the year. Like you have that Canadian kid, Lindell Wigington, like comes out of nowhere, scores like whatever amount of points. First time ever that a player starts his debut. Anyways, so those stories though, they get pushed to the back of SportsCenter or all those talk shows. They don't really get talked about. Nobody cares. Nobody even knows they happen unless you look it up. We're on Twitter all the time. That's where we see it. But anyways, but the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday, okay, when they didn't even, listen, they're already locked in to play the Los Angeles Lakers in that play-in game. Okay, winner gets the 7 seed. Is that game, or does the winner? Hold on, the Lakers and T-Wolves. What seeds are they?
They're 7 and 8.
Yes, no, 7 8. So the winner gets the 7
7
seed, and the loser gets a second chance and gets to play the winner of the 9-10 game, right? Which is Oklahoma City,
the Pels
and New Orleans. Yeah. So, a game like that where I don't think much could change. Although I have to say the West still had a lot up for grabs. The seeding was still up for grabs. So it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of different scenarios, and there's some teams that could have still finished out of the play-in. It ended up staying exactly the same because I think the Clippers and the Warriors won, so it didn't matter. But it was still and I think the other 3 teams like the Wolves, Thunder, and Pelicans probably wanted to avoid the Lakers, I guess, in the play-in, who have been playing incredibly well, right? So, anyways, go on.
100%. I wouldn't play the Lakers, but
yeah.
You're playing the Lakers. You're going to need to play well. And does this team not go out and start fighting amongst each other to the point where Rudy Gobert throws a punch at his own teammate?
Yeah.
And then who was the player? Was it Jaden McDaniels that goes in the hallway and punches the wall and breaks his hand?
He broke his hand. Yeah.
Here's my question. Okay. As idiotic as, I'm not even joking. I would cut a player like that. I don't care how good they are. To me, you should lose like half your salary and do something stupid like that, because you're still employed by a team, and to do things like that is you're effectively ruining the business, right? The guy's been unbelievable all year for Minnesota. Now he's not going to be available in the playoffs for breaking his hand. For me, that's the equivalent of just kind of trashing your work, right? So, and then Rudy Gobert, who for me had no room for error in his career ever again after the antics he pulled with COVID there, where he was like spitting on all the microphones and basically rubbing his balls all over all the media stuff, right? Saying,
he didn't rub his balls.
You know what I mean, right? Like the guy is, So the guy had COVID. He's like,
well, that was no. That's not to recap. 2 nights before he had COVID, it was announced he had COVID.
That's right.
They asked him at a press conference after whatever game, they're like, "What do you think of COVID?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not too worried." And then as he got up to leave the press conference, he touched all the microphones, because that was at the time, Phil, where people weren't talking about COVID being airborne. They were still talking about COVID being transferred by touch, right? Which is why for a while, instead of mask and isolation, it was wash your hands. Right, like that was like a flu. It was like wash your hands,
but it wasn't
everything else
back then,
is totally fine.
Yeah.
So that, but then to make fun of it, he did the one thing everybody's saying not to do, is touched everybody's microphones.
Yes.
And then out of everybody, nobody else did that in the league. Nobody else made fun of it the same way. Out of everybody in the league, who's the first one who got freaking COVID? Rudy Gobert.
Here's LG. He apparently went in the locker room, and this is where my balls comment comes from. He apparently went in the locker room and like put people's shorts on his balls and stuff after the shower, like all this crazy stuff like that. And Donovan Mitchell was one of them. That's why Donovan Mitchell was so furious.
Oh yeah. And their relationship was never the same.
Yeah. So they it wasn't the microphones Donovan was pissed at. It was that he went in the locker room and took everyone's personal belongings and rubbed them all over his body and like licked them and all sorts of nonsense. Okay, for whatever reason. So for me, after those antics, the guy had no room to have any sort of inter-team conflict, okay? Because that was something that really broke the trust between Donovan Mitchell and himself in Utah, and they never recovered from that. And that was one of the reasons Donovan Mitchell ended up moving on and being traded, is because even though they said they had reconciled, they really didn't, and there was just no repairing that. No. So the last thing Rudy Gobert could afford to do is to get in a fight with another teammate, let alone be the aggressor in the fight with a teammate, to the point where it wasn't even like a shove. He punched him. He didn't connect with his face. He hit him in the chest. And Kyle Anderson actually.
Let's be honest. That's not a punch. That's an
not
attempted punch. That's a Gobert punch, but that's not a real punch. Like if you want to punch somebody, you get right up in their face, you punch them. You know what I mean? But that was like he reached over with his giant gangly arms, his freaking 9-foot wingspan, and like as pathetic a punch as you could throw. But yes, you're just staring at it, a punch nonetheless, one that wouldn't even injure a baby.
And kudos to Kyle Anderson. I mean, he went after him, and then he realized, you know what, that's my teammate, man. I can't do that right. He's like, all right, cool, I'm chill. I'm gonna let it go for now. We'll deal with later.
Also, like Kyle Anderson of all people, too, right? It's not like Gobert's throwing a punch at.
But did you hear what was said? Like, did you hear the words that were said? Like, block better or grab a rebound. Like, are you joking? This is what they were fighting about in front of everybody. That's pathetic. Like, if you said I'm going to kill your mom, or like, you know, I slept with your wife or your sister. No, seriously. Words like that are fighting words.
If it was like a Zidane style, like something terrible, whatever, you know, then that's one thing. But something that's just like, hey, like, let's play some better basketball, like let's hustle. Yeah,
you know, and even like if you call someone a bitch or something like that, okay, that's worth, you know, someone will get in a physical fight for that. But the fact that one said start grabbing rebounds, and they almost like, can you block a shot? Like, this is the most childish. But that's on the organization, man. I don't know what's going on down there. And then McDaniels goes in the hallway, and I don't know if he's upset at what happened. I don't know the context. I didn't watch the game.
McDaniels' problem?
What's he doing going in that hallway, punching the wall, to the point now where he's out for the postseason? Gobert is missing the Lakers game because he was suspended for a game today, right? I saw that. Yeah. And the T-Wolves are basically kind of leaving themselves to one chance to make the playoffs here, because they're not beating the Lakers. Not with those guys out. I don't care. I like Anthony Edwards. I like Cat, but
Let's look at the punch.
Right.
You see
It
the
wasn't
punch?
really a punch, but it was more than a shot.
No. The McDaniels punch. The McDaniels
McDaniels.
punch. It's on video. Yeah, here we go. Here
How
it is.
dumb is this guy?
Here it is.
An idiot, man. Why?
Dude,
Why?
he
What
punched like a fucking wall. Come on.
I can't get over
What do you think? The wall is gonna break? Or this is like a level on Street Fighter? Like,
But
that's
do we
so
have
insane.
context as to why he did that? There's no.
I think he
context.
was just mad. Let's see what they say in the clip.
What?
Oh, he got a foul for who did he throw down?
Wow, what a train wreck! I'd fire everybody. I'd get rid of absolutely everybody on.
Yeah,
that team.
I think he fouled out or something like that, and he was so mad
The
about it.
entire coaching staff would be gone by morning if I was the owner there. See ya. That's
Yeah,
garbage.
that's I mean, that's
awful,
on
man.
everybody. I think that, well, McDaniels, first of all, is a stupid young person. And McDaniels is what, like 21? Like, that's a stupid young person thing to do.
I agree.
Gobert should know better, honestly.
But do you
Gobert,
see now?
Like,
yeah. But do you see now how we've been discussing this for like 10 minutes? This is the NBA. LeBron is the king of this. When they're not talking about LeBron or basketball, LeBron will come out and be like, I want to win a Stanley Cup. You know, like he did that. Seriously, man. This is what he does.
It's
And
true.
guess
Yeah.
what? Sports Center will be like, oh, LeBron says he's going to win a Stanley Cup. And they lead off with that. And it's like,
do you remember
ridiculous.
a long time ago him meeting Ovechkin?
Yeah.
Do you remember
No, I
that?
don't.
Do you remember? Okay, I gotta find it. It's this clip from a long time ago. And also, hey, while we're talking, we're very briefly talking NHL because there's not much to say about NHL other than talking about the
Will be
Leafs
soon.
or NHL NFTs. Which don't exist. Hello, the company Suite, which has promised NHL NFTs for over a year.
They're smart, man. They're smart. They don't want anything to do with this.
They ran away from it.
They know what's going on. They're like, no. We're not making that mistake. We're not being part of this ecosystem.
But I tweeted this earlier today, I think, that was about how, like, the NHL right now, for people who do pay attention or people who maybe watch 1 or 2 games a year, this is maybe good information for you. A name you've probably heard many times, have been one of the faces of the NHL for the last 20 years and was the poster boy 15 years ago. Sidney Crosby has just passed the 1,500 point mark, which is significant. That's huge. He's only the 15th player to ever do so, and Ovechkin is very close behind him. That's something that happened this season. Connor McDavid, easily the best player on the planet, is already almost at 900 points, Phil. I don't know if you knew this. He's almost at
150 for the year, man.
150 for the year, which has not been done since Mario Lemieux in 1995 or something like that. Like, the only 2 players who've done it in like the last 40 years are Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky or something like that. So a huge milestone. And the Boston Bruins, who we hate, have broken the all-time single season win record as well. And a lot of other, like, and Ovechkin is now the second all-time goal scorer, and he actually has a legit chance to catch Wayne Gretzky if he plays a few more seasons. But this year he broke 800 goals. Also a massive feat, really hard to do in the NHL. Only him and like 1 or 2 other guys have ever done it. No NFTs for any of that. Not a single, nothing, not even a little commemorative coin that's like a free open mint. Nothing, not a thing. They're missing these huge things that I want. Like, these are important things to me, and I want some way to commemorate them. And I'm not going to go out and buy a poster or some shit or just watch the highlight on YouTube. I want something. And they don't have it. Well, for anybody who cares even a little bit about the NHL, some pretty big stuff going down this year. And hold on, wait, I got the clip of LeBron meeting Ovechkin, and this is from like even on YouTube it says it's 13 years ago, and you can tell LeBron has no idea. I think he's meeting Ovechkin and Nick Backstrom, and it's Ted Leonsis is pointing him to who they are. So LeBron knows who Ted Leonsis is, who's the owner of the Wizards and the Capitals, but LeBron clearly has no idea who Ovechkin and Backstrom are.
I don't see anything. I think only you see it.
Oh shit! Hold on. Wait, let me see. Okay, my bad. Hold on. Here we go.
Is that Paul Bearer cloak? Like, what's he wearing?
Leonis is a funny looking guy.
How you doing? Good. This is one star in the league and MVP. Good. So I thought the hottest celebration or not? The hot stick? Good. Bad boy, bad. Dang.
Yeah, this is awkward, man.
That's terrible. It's so bad. Oh yeah, LeBron comes to their locker room.
Grab some bubble gum.
It's so bad. It's so like Leonis has to explain to him. He's like, that's the MVP of the league. And LeBron's like,
But see what I'm saying though? I mean, the NBA players, and it's not just LeBron, they're kings of doing this. They really are. Like, in the offseason, they do everything they can to keep the NBA in the news. And we're talking, like, look at Kyrie and KD's situation. Like, that went on forever. Then last year, Kyrie with his antics with COVID and all that. That went on forever. They continuously find a way to make the news when maybe nobody else was talking about them. And I think these playoffs will be the exact same. We got a taste of it yesterday with the T-Wolves and their chaos. I think I love the play-in tournament. I think it's a great idea. Maybe not fair to the 7 and 8 seeds who have a potential of missing out. But guess what? You want. If you're good enough to be a 7 or 8 seed, you'll find a way to win the games that matter, and you even get a second chance. If you're the 7 or 8 seed and you lose the first one, you get a second chance. So if you can't win any of those games, you probably don't belong in the 4-game series against the number 1 team in that conference, right?
I think the play-in. I agree with you, and I think the play-in has kind of galvanized what was happening in the league for a long time, where it's just where both conferences would have like a handful of really good teams that you knew were going to steamroll their opponents in the first round, right? Like on 1 versus 8. I mean, how many upsets have there been in the last 30 years? Like 1 or 2, right? So it's just like it's not like
this has those upsets.
Hockey always has those upsets, but basketball is like you knew they're going to steamroll them. But then it was always that like teams like starting around seed 6 or 7 were kind of hot trash, right? And especially the Eastern Conference, which for a long time was referred to as the Leastern Conference, but this year you could argue has more title contenders than the Western Conference. But I'm saying is that like even as a Raptors fan, where we would often, especially those terrible Chris Bosh years, we would often be on that line of like just kind of finishing 9th or 8th, I don't know, and then even finishing 8th for the honor to get absolutely obliterated by whoever's in first. This at least makes it kind of exciting, man. Like playing a loser go home game, even if your team is trash, that's still super fun, right? It's like, so even for the Raptors, it's like great. I agree. I'll watch the game against the Bulls on Wednesday for sure, and that's like a battle of 2 shitty teams, and it's fun. There's a narrative. DeMar is going to come to Toronto and play 45 and have the opportunity to eliminate the Raptors in a kind of meaningless game, but kind of meaningful game. Like that's pretty huge. And then the winner of that goes on to play with the loser of the Hawks and the Heat. And for them the chance to play the Bucks, right? And get
can we just be honest?
But that's fun. But I think that's fun. I think a loser go home a game for a team when your team is 500 or below, having just one game where it's loser go home is exciting and makes it fun for at least an extra couple fan bases, right? Because otherwise those 7 and 8 seeds would just get crushed like 4-0 usually in those first round games, and the 9th and 10th seed would be lottery bound. So I think it makes tons of sense. I think it's super fun.
I love it. I really do. I'm excited for all the games. I'll be watching all of them. And when it comes to the Raptors, I do hope they go out. I don't want them. They're not beating the Bucks even one time. So instead of putting us through the pain of watching and hoping 4 times in a row that they're going to beat the Bucks, they're not going to do it, no matter what. Okay, don't tell me there's a maybe. There's no maybe. They're not beating the Bucks in a 7-game series.
There's no. It would take something unbelievable.
Although, is that round best of 5 in the NBA like it used to be, the first round?
No.
Or is it go straight to best of 7?
They changed
that.
So
the play-in tournament got rid of all that stuff of best of 5. Because I remember we used to get screwed in best of 5 all the time. Like we'd play the Knicks and always lose in best of 5. So that's gone. So that's good. But I'm excited. I'm excited because some of these matchups are going to be phenomenal. I'm excited to see what OKC can do in their play-in attempt because I believe that OKC can do some damage.
It hasn't been best of 5 since 2003.
That's impossible. There's definitely been some best of 5 series in the NBA at some point. There has
no since 2003, and I remember the first Raptors playoff appearance against the Knicks. You're right, was a best of 5,
and that was the last year that they did a best of 5?
No, 2003. The first playoff appearance for the Raptors was like 97 or something like that, like the year before.
Was it? Oh man, all right. I'm living in time here. Yeah.
So. It's okay. It's okay. It's good. Don't worry. It's okay. You know what? Another thing I'll say too, and I don't know if a lot of other people think about it this way, but thinking about the standings over the last couple months, it's like there was a while there, when LeBron got injured, and I think AD had just come back, and the Lakers were like 14 games under 500. It was like some kind of they had like this horrific record, and they were like down there with the Blazers. And I think that where the play-in starts to matter is that someone for like even just trying to finish 10th, even though it's a crowded West, the chance to finish in the play-in, I think, was even a little bit more motivation, or even just enough motivation, let's say, for a team like the Lakers that has star power but is having trouble putting it together. Maybe just enough motivation for them to make the trades they did, to try to go for it, to try and just finish 9th or 10th, to just have a chance. And what is happening is they did not sneak in. They finished 4 games over 500, man. They have an incredible record the last couple months. What I'm saying is that it's like if it had been like a cutoff at 8, maybe just a little less of that motivation to try. And then what ended up happening is that they're 7th, likely going to be 7th seed and play the Grizzlies. And that's right. Pretty good. You know what I mean? That's pretty good if you're the Lakers, right? And
that is
you're coming in with firing on all cylinders, right? So that's,
you have a shot in that series, and it absolutely. And, you know, the whole history that, and the way, that's another guy, Dylan Brooks has made a name for himself now lately as the big villain in the league. And, you know, there's a good chance he's going to play some of his nemesis in these playoffs. This is what I'm saying. We're in for some storylines from right now, starting tomorrow night to the very end of the NBA Finals. That's because of the nature of the sport where it's so superstar focused that any little thing, you know, there's going to be some incidents, you know, there's going to be some suspensions, you know, there's going to be some technical fouls, you know, there's going to be people crying. So, you know, the refs are going to be blamed. We're going to see it all, right? In these next few weeks, which makes the NBA playoffs just fantastic. I can't wait, man. I'm super excited.
Phil, let's fast forward 2 months. What is your finals prediction? Let's talk about that.
Oh man, I said it on the Tandy show and we went on. I said I can't go against Golden State no matter what. I truly believe Golden State I know they've been awful this year, and our good buddy Chandler is gonna like chime in on this for sure. Even though I'm not saying anything bad, Chandler, and Chandler somehow always thinks I'm saying some bad stuff, even though when I say good
Chandler
stuff.
Listen to the podcast. Does he actually listen?
Nah, no chance, man.
No, there's no chance. No.
Not into the NFT world anymore. So, well, listen, I knew Chandler was done with when he announced that like wieners, which is his favorite thing ever, that he didn't think they were doing so well, and he's done
wearing
with
the wiener shirt. I'm
that
wearing
was like the
wiener
end
shirt
of Chandler.
today.
So
yeah.
But anyways, anytime I say something good about the Warriors, he's so used to me talking trash about like the Eagles and the Warriors because he's a big fan, that he comes back with something very defensive, like, oh, I don't care, I'm not watching. Oh, they suck on the road. I'm like, dude, I just said they played well. Anyways, they kind of fixed their issues on the road late in the year, right? Everybody's healthy now. And
also playoffs are completely different. That's the other thing too. Like the only thing we have to analyze when we get to the playoffs is always like, well, let's look at their regular season performance. But often those trends have been completely bucked because coaches adapt, change their strategy, adapt to who they're playing for a 7-game series versus during the regular season. They kind of obviously they study each team, but they kind of have like an overarching strategy, and they're trying new things, trying to get certain processes to work. But I think it's like come playoffs, it never matters what happened in the regular season.
They got the heart of it.
Obviously, it matters if a team is way better. But for someone like the Warriors that almost has the exact same team outside of Andrew Wiggins, which is obviously a huge missing piece for them, pretty much has the exact same team as they won with last year. You know,
that's true though. Wiggins is missing, but they seem to always find a way. There's always role players that step up, and I know the thing with the Warriors is they always find a way to keep games close. They could be down by 20 with like 2 minutes left, and they'll find a way to have a game-tying shot at some point in those last 2 minutes. That's just how they play. They never get killed, and they never give up. They always play right to the end. And because they have such good three-point shooting players, well, not so much this year, but they're always a factor, right? So for me, the Warriors are my pick out of the West. I'd love to pick like Grizzlies and a young and up-and-coming team. I'd love to pick Denver, but I'm never going to give Jamal Murray that credit. But for me, it's Golden State, and I have to go with Milwaukee or Boston. To me, it seems too obvious, but there's nobody beating either one of those teams. And Boston, I don't know. I saw a few things. I saw a few weaknesses with Milwaukee this year too, but I'm going Milwaukee, Golden State again this year. That's my prediction. I'll probably be 100% wrong, but that's my prediction.
I like that. I think you're right. Like, and even I've been thinking during like the big MVP debate, right, that's going on right now.
Oh god.
Which I think that's another thing that probably you see on ESPN or everything else a little too much. It's just like
a
kind of
little
sick
too
of hearing
much
about
for
it.
the wrong reasons too. It really is for the wrong
and they're going to vote on the regular season, and that is what it is. But to me, like if you're looking at some of those candidates when it comes to playoff time, it's like there's only one who's gone all the way and gotten the job done. Right. And it's never pretty. Like every championship has its caveats of, hey, this person was injured. For the Bucks, it's like, you know, Durant's foot on the line. Like, of course, the Raptors, same thing. You know, there's so many caveats of like, well, they wouldn't have won the championship if not for this, and this. But that doesn't matter. A champion is a champion. And once a player has won or a team has a winning culture like that, they have it. And they always have that potential to get back there. And every other team wants to have that. So even you're right, for like the other two MVP candidates, obviously I'm calling Giannis an MVP candidate, or let's say the other three MVP candidates. If you look at Tatum as a dark horse or somebody who will get maybe some second and third place votes, Celtics, Sixers, Nuggets, all teams that in their current state have not gotten it done. Right. And Celtics have been the furthest, right? That current core has been to the finals twice, but still not like they're just teams that haven't gotten it done. Sixers haven't gone past second round. Nuggets haven't gone past the second round other than being in a conference final in the bubble, which, you could argue barely counts. Although they did, like, Jamal Murray getting injured might have been a different story. But again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, what if, that doesn't matter. To me, that's where I would put my chips in the East, because it's like, well, at the end of the day, when that game matters and there's 2 minutes left, I'm going to the teams that have been there before, the players that have been there before that know how to do it. And now the Bucks have that, right? They've got that core of Middleton, Giannis, and Drew and Brooks, right? Of just like people that know how to get it done. They just know how to play at that level. And until I'd say Celtics are a good bet, but until the Sixers can prove that, not there. And Harden, same thing. Another performer who's never been able to get over that hump. Right. So,
the Sixers are not even on my radar. How crazy is that?
But it doesn't mean you can't. But it doesn't mean you can't.
They'll probably be the ones that get there. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean, exactly. That's when you can, for sure. But in terms of when you're going to bet, it's hard for it to not just kind of look at history repeating itself, especially in the NBA, and also knowing that that's something the NBA kind of wants. Like, the NBA wants the marquee teams. They want those big storylines. And nothing would be sexier, I think, for the NBA than, like, obviously the NBA probably just wants like a Celtics Lakers final magically. LeBron his final shot at one before, their only healthy shot, on the Celtics desperate to finally win.
They're not getting that no matter what.
I will say, Phil, that the first round to me is always like super fun, because you have some of the really fun matchups, right? Like teams that could be contenders in the future playing, right? Like I really like the Cavs Knicks first round matchup. Like that to me, like that's good. I hope that's a fun series. I hope it's not a blowout on either side. That should be super fun.
That should be a great series. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'll be tough. Suns Clippers. That'll be hilarious, man. I think that's going to be awesome. Man. And whoever the Grizzlies get, I think is going to also be a really, really fun series. Like a Lakers Grizzlies would be hilarious. A Wolves Grizzlies series, I guess, wouldn't be as fun. It would be kind of weird. But hey, totally possible.
I agree. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And like I said, and it's crazy because my excitement has nothing to do with the Raptors whatsoever. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Hockey and basketball are different for me. My excitement for the playoffs in hockey has always been the Leafs and only the Leafs. After that, I don't give a shit. I'll watch here and there, but I do not care. Okay. You're not going to get me to watch random NHL games for no reason. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
But the NBA is totally different because it's, again, I don't know what it is. It's the luster, I guess, of having all these star players and all these drama storylines. There's no drama and storylines in hockey. There rarely is. There's fights. Guys who hate each other.
To make it interesting. It used to. I will say in the past, I watched more later NHL games. Than I used to. Like, think like 20 years ago, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, Calgary Flames final, where like the Flames were the upstart. Iginla and LeCavalier, the two team captains, fought each other in Game 7. Like it was amazing, right? Like I enjoyed watching other teams play hockey more back in the day. But these days, like, I don't give a shit.
Well, that's exactly it, right?
I would say McDavid going far would be the only kind of interesting thing I would care about. But otherwise, outside the Leafs side,
they don't have the goaltending on the Oilers to get far. But actually, on that note, you brought up a good point. There's been a lot of milestones and big moments this year. I wanted to show you something. I wanted to show you something that our good friend Garland, who is a huge NFL all-day collector, sent me in the mail. And even though I refused a couple times, he insisted that he sends it to me. He knows I'm a big hockey fan. He knows my son grew up a huge Alex Ovechkin fan, and he still wears the yellow laces. Actually, does he still wear them? No, there's no way he still wears them. That's too, like, you don't do that. But anyways, he wore them his whole career. He wore the Alex Ovechkin yellow laces and liked him since he was young, despite being a Leafs fan. So Garland went, I think he has a ton of tickets to Washington Capitals games. And it was Ovechkin bobblehead night, but it wasn't just Ovechkin bobblehead night. It was a special night honoring Ovechkin for, I forgot what milestone. And right now he's in a chase for all-time goals, I believe, is it Gretzky? Is that what the chase is on right now? I think the Ovechkin's trying to catch Gretzky.
Yeah. So he finished the season around like 825 or 830 goals.
That's right.
And Gretzky has 892 career. And for a long time, they're like, nobody will ever be even close to getting to Gretzky's goal total.
Which they said, yes, that's right.
It's an impossible thing to get to, right?
Yeah. And sure enough, he's getting there. So he's getting there. He went to whatever night it was, an Ovechkin night, where they gave bobbleheads, and he came back and said, I have an extra one. Do you want it? No, I don't want to say, yeah, I do want it.
Nice.
But, I'm not going to go out and say, like, yeah, send it to me now. So he sent that to me, and he included another little surprise in there. I just sent you a picture of the First Mint account if you want to pull it up. And this bobblehead has an actual counter at the bottom that you can update yourself with how many goals Ovechkin has. So bobbleheads are just bobbleheads most of the time.
Fucking awesome.
It's really sweet though.
Here it is. Well, did we lose Phil? Maybe we lost Phil. Phil, if you're there, can't hear it. Hello. Well, for anybody who's listening, we just lost Phil. So I guess I'll kind of keep talking. I'm not going to edit this for YouTube. So if you're listening right now, or you're watching on YouTube, well, I've got the Ovechkin thing up, which looks really cool, but I've lost Phil.
Okay.
Phil
I don't know what that was, man. What was that?
Okay, Phil's back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was.
Freaking weird, man.
Yeah,
Look at this thing. Like how cool is this?
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually awesome, man. He sent this, and I wish I took a picture of this, but it came in like the biggest box ever, and he actually spent $14 on putting bubble wrap in the actual box.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna leave it to your imagination what $14 of bubble wrap looks like. Okay, it took forever to get this thing out of there.
God, man.
So yeah, really nice of Garland. Big shout out. Not the first time somebody sends me something. Big shout out to Lorax who sent me an outstanding jacket. And LG, he actually sent one for you too, and I still have it. But I've been wearing this jacket. It was a Moon of Mars jacket, I believe. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, it is incredible, man. He sent me this. It's a yellow jacket. Everyone's like, "Yo, where did you get that?" I'm like, "You wouldn't understand." So I'm not going to tell you. But huge shout out to Garland. What a gift! And then that hat. He included the hat as a joke, but he didn't realize that I would definitely wear something like this for like golf or something. I would wear that to go golfing. That's my style. So huge shout out. And I thought that was really cool. Like that's a really cool bobblehead. Bobblehead's kind of, they lost their luster over the years. They lost their shine. But hey, in Toronto, the Jays home openers tomorrow, they're not giving a bobblehead. They're giving like shiny bracelet or something like that. No, a bracelet that lights up. That's what it's called. To the first 45,000. But the night after is a Vladdy Guerrero Jr. bobblehead. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen the scenes in Toronto for bobbleheads. But if the game's at 7 p.m., at 9 a.m., there's going to be thousands of people lined up just to get on 15,000. It's outrageous.
I like the bracelet thing. I'm assuming that's probably like for it to be Instagrammable, right? Like I think that's where a lot of these things are kind of going. That it's like they want people to share that. Bobbleheads are cool too. I'm still hoping for the day. And again, I don't think I think this infrastructure exists. I just don't think anybody's like aware enough or doesn't want to manage the program, or they're just not there. But maybe that's a good company for us to start. Is like I just wish all those bobbleheads came with an NFT, and people can scan it if they want, right? Like even the bobbleheads, some people don't want bobbleheads. They enter the stadium and they're like, "Here's your bobblehead," and they're like, "No thanks," and that's totally fine. Not everybody has to have it. Like that's not what collectibles are about. Some people want them. Some people walk around after the game picking up as many bobbleheads as they can so they can have them or sell them for $5 or whatever. But what I would love is, I just want like every single toy or collectible or whatever I have now to come with some like digital twin. Like that's just my general desire for collecting now, being kind of back into collecting. Like I've been buying some comic books. Why can't it just come with a little QR code on the inside? You know what I mean? Or something. Like I just think that it just makes a lot of sense, and not necessarily so it can be on like some secondary market, so that it's like, hey, how much is my Vladdy Guerrero 1 of 20,000 bobblehead from the April 11th game going to be worth? Like it's fucking worthless. Like that doesn't matter. But just as like a digital stamp of something that I got once or something like that, you know what I mean? It's a digital little memory. Like I think that's cool. Right. And I think that's something that, like personally, that I wish I had. Sure. Same as the ticket should be an NFT or something. Totally like agree. That. Phil, I don't want to lose track. NBA playoffs. We gave our predictions. I don't know. I've heard rumors that Top Shot is up to something. Play-in is tomorrow, so I'm assuming we'll find out sometime in the next 48 to 72 hours. But we do know what Sorare's playoff format is. And Phil, their format for the playoffs, I know you follow this for Sorare NBA, is actually very similar to something that you said you wanted just 2 weeks ago on the show, which is like a cumulative kind of season-long competition. So the way it works, I don't know, Phil, if you read about this, but I'll recap it really quick.
No, I just put a lineup. I didn't even read what the contest was.
Yes. So what they're doing, so this is actually very interesting. So what they're doing is, instead of typically Sorare game weeks are like basically like a 3 or 4 day week, right? It's like Monday to Thursday and then Friday through Sunday. What they're doing though is they're doing full calendar weeks. So it's Monday to Sunday. So it's like you got to figure out which games are going to be in that schedule. So it's like you're like literally like, so even this week, it's like you have to pick play-in players, and you got to hope your play-in players are playing. You probably want to pick ones that are playing a second game, right? Or ones that might play, I guess, probably a game one on Saturday or Sunday or whatever, right? So a little bit tricky. And then after that, it goes on through the rest of the playoffs. It's like literally up until the finals. And then the finals itself, the entire finals is one big game week from game 1 to game 7 or game 4 or whatever it is. And the way it works though, is that I don't know if there's prizes for each week, but you get points that accumulate to like a playoff long leaderboard. Where then the winners of each rarity level leaderboard, right? Because there's the common, the limited, rare, super rare, unique, whatever. The top 100 of each one get a variety of prizes. And what the prizes are, Phil, most of them are Sorare store credits. And with those credits, when the playoffs are over, you can go shopping in the Sorare store. And they listed like how much everything costs. So you can then order like a Sorare hat for like with like 100 credits. So if you finish like 90th in the common, you have enough credits to get like a Sorare hat. But it goes all the way up, like even the really rare, like the higher rare paid ones. It's like the top prizes are like a trip to NBA Paris showcase next year and All-Star and stuff like that. So, and some of them are like $500 in the NBA store. Like there's a lot of different little things. So kind of cool. But I like, outside of the prizes, the idea of the cumulative game week to me is really cool, because then it's like you actually have a chance. Like you might have terrible picks this week, but you can make up for it by having I don't know, like pick a great first round matchup. Like if you think the Knicks are going to steamroll the Cavs and you pick all Knicks for that game week, then that's a great choice, right? So I like that. I like the cumulative. I think that's what people have kind of wanted, and that's something that maybe I mean you could do in any fantasy kind of DFS, but I think that it's cool that Sorare is doing something like that.
Agreed. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't even look. I'm so used to just like going in there, entering my lineup, and taking off full speed. That's exactly what I did, and I moved on real quick. But I do like that. I like it. I like everything I see.
I think they haven't done as big a marketing push as I think they should have for that. I think that is super cool. Maybe they're doing it like they've had a lot of really interesting, I guess, like affiliate people that they've signed recently, right? Like Rug Radio and a lot of other NFT outlets and crypto outlets and stuff like that. So they've got that like influencer star power. So I don't know if that's being promoted that much with those people, but to me, like that's, hey, listen, you know, people, there's two peaks for every sports through the season, right? It's like the start of the season and the start of the playoffs. So they're doing something different for the start of the playoffs. So, you know, I'll give them their flowers for that. I think that's at least cool, and something that for me that I kind of checked out of Sorare probably around the All-Star game, honestly, for the NBA, where I started selling players and kind of honestly I stopped setting lineups because I wasn't winning and I didn't care to even study and try and play. I will definitely do it for the playoffs because I'm way more interested in the playoffs than I am in the last 2 months of the regular season.
A whole new season, man. That's how it works. Exactly. Right? Like I'll do the bracket challenge and all that. Like I don't usually follow that stuff.
I'm gonna watch way more games than I have in the last 3 months, right? Exactly. So it's immediately to me it's way more exciting.
Makes sense.
So yeah. So that's what's going down. Yeah, and Top Shot, we don't know what's going on, so we'll see. But we did. I want to talk about baseball in a minute, but I guess we already. Actually, you know what? Actually, we just talk about bobbleheads. Maybe we can touch on baseball, and then we can end with the Dapper play policy. MLB rewards live on Sorare. Phil, have you been playing Sorare at all for baseball? Did you send any lineups last week? How you doing?
I did. Well, remember I told you I finished 500th out of like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
12,000, and I got nothing. So,
yeah, you got nothing. Yeah,
I was happy to see Stone Cold, who is our good friend, finish. I think he finished 200th, and he got like a limited tier 5. But I was just like, man, again, 200th out of like 14,000, limited tier 5. That's rough. Like that's rough. 200 is a really good place to finish. But it is what it is. No, my lineup was shit this week. But I am entering, like, because I do own some limited cards, I am entering those lineups called like the majors or whatever it's called, where you can enter a mix of limited and commons. And I've been doing that, and I have some pretty good cards, man. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week. It's the first time I'm able to fill out an entire roster with those players. And that's only because I did a player swap. I totally forgot about the player swap. And I didn't realize that if you swap out terrible players, you can get some like superstars back. Like I swapped out like a guy worth 2, and I had never heard of this guy. And I feel like I know every player in the league, but I had never heard of this guy. And I swapped him out for like a pitcher that has like 24 average, right? So I was like, okay, that's not like the NBA where you can only swap out for guys of the same level. This is like some kind of thing. I don't know if it's a glitch, but you can actually swap out your bad players for like tremendous pitchers or players. And I did that a couple times, and I set some lineups this week. I love it. I think it's exciting. I just wish I could participate more in some of the other contests. Like I'm still stuck in just like the few contests that are there, right? But maybe eventually I'll pick up some limited cards. But I'd love to win some just to get me started with those other contests. What about you?
Yeah. So I had done a lot of off-season buying, and I was trying to do some start of season selling, honestly, because I wasn't sure how much I was going to be that interested, but I knew that I'm trying to like I guess like casually, passively trade like the ebbs and flows, right? So right now, like I was saying last week, we went over kind of my list of NBA players. I'm trying to buy low on some of the NBA cards, hoping that they'll be worth more later, either so I can play them or I can sell them. Just like again, I think managing your NFT collection, good NFT projects give you hard decisions to make. So it's like I even tried make it so that I have a hard decision to make, but a good one to make later on. So I've been trying to recoup some capital from selling those. I sold a Matt Chapman earlier today for, I don't know, twice what I paid for it. Like I bought it for $10, sold it for 20. So not that exciting, but still, but he's on fire. And like, if the season ended today, Matt Chapman would be the MVP. But that is not, we're not gonna be saying that in 5 months. So selling.
We're not talking candy, but does he have a moment in this week's plays of the week?
I don't think so. I don't think there are any Blue Jays moments.
Are you serious, man? That's all I collect.
Let's talk about candy in a second, because that drop sold out immediately today. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do. Although like the undercutting has been pretty extreme. So I think I missed my window by maybe a couple of days. Or some of the good players are like underperforming, like Zach Gallen or Galen, that is like not, that has I think had a couple rough outings already. So anyway, so I'm still like kind of have some stuff listed. I've probably got maybe like 10 or 11 rare cards that I was trying to offload this week, but I am setting them in lineups, right? And I feel pretty good. Like I've got like Kevin Gosman and Taylor Hearn, and I don't know, a few like decent players in my rare lineup. And then my limited lineup, I have 88 cards in limited. So I've got quite a few different options. So I don't know. I actually kind of missed. I didn't set any lineups over the weekend just because I kind of forgot about it, which is funny. So I didn't play the paid contest, but I am playing this week. And I'll check back in. Like I bought some decently good players, and honestly, I bought a lot of Blue Jays so I could finish kind of like the Blue Jays collection, which is Sorare kind of has this collection feature, right? So I bought a lot of Jays to finish that. So that's why I had 2 Matt Chapmans, and I've got a few Guerreros. And hey, listen, like the Jays are whatever 6-4, whatever they are, they're winning games by scoring like 10 runs in each one. And when you have offensive player cards, that's a really great thing. So it's great. Like I'm happy to put like the Bichettes and the Vladdies and the Matt Chapmans, the George Springers, I guess, in my lineup, right? So we'll see. I think if you do want to get into the paid contest, I think the best time will be when there's fatigue. So probably like come July or something like that. And knowing that it's a long season, but there are paid prizes all season, right? So I think if you want to get in and you want to get into some of the paid contests for cheap, I think mid-season will be a great time to do that and start, just pick up some of those players for a couple bucks. It was the same thing on NBA, right? If you wanted kind of like like an Evan Mobley or something like that, right? At the start of the season, for a limited card, you're paying 50, 60, 70 bucks for an Evan Mobley, but towards the end of the season, you're paying like 20, right? So I think there'll be some good buying opportunities if you've only got a couple $100, probably mid-season All-Star break. And hopefully maybe they'll increase rewards. Who knows? Maybe next season or towards the playoffs, they'll have elevated higher paid rewards for that. Let's talk about the other MLB project real quick. Candy. So Candy doing a good job, right? They're keeping their scarcity down. They've been selling out their drops, which I think is like a huge thing for them. They had we started recording a little late today, Phil, but I wanted to start recording right as they were doing their plays of the week drop. Which they're doing. It's like $20 for 2 cards, and there's 800 packs or something like that. They sold out in 10 minutes again today.
How many packs can you buy at a time?
I think it's only 1.
Okay, and what are they going for right now in the market? The packs from
like a couple bucks over, so they're not. It's not a 2x or 3x. Like it's like they were selling for $20 and they're going for like $22. So Phil, if you really want one, you can go buy one.
Right.
And same thing for the one from last week. So I mean, they're doing well. I mean, it is the heightened time of baseball interest. So I don't know. Like I think that they can sustain that for a couple weeks, but I do wonder in like June and July. Although that is a very limited amount of packs, right? $20 a pack, that's really not that much, and you're selling 800, so it's not easy, it's not hard to see those kind of minting out every time. But I do wonder what that interest will be as the season goes. But they are doing their challenges, which is, again, similar to what we're saying we wanted on Candy or on Sorare, where you can do these weekly challenges that then you earn points for doing the challenges, and those accumulate every week and every month and kind of go towards a bigger score. So I think overall what I'm liking about that we're starting to see on some of these platforms, Phil, is kind of like a longer term score for gamification, right? Which is good. To me, that's a good thing. It's at least going to engage your current holders who have probably collected so much of the product, and they're immediately getting rewarded by being on top of the leaderboards. And again, it's similar to Top Shot, but it's not, because Top Shot's leaderboards are literally just for holding, whereas these are I would say a bit more gamified. But it's still it's cool to see. So I'd say I would say Candy's start of the season, I would give them a high grade if I had to give them any grade. And now the real challenge begins, which is when people stop being as all the home openers are done and baseball stops being as interesting. Can they sustain? Right.
Good point. Well, the only thing with those is that they're going above mint price by what, a couple bucks, or purchase price, a couple bucks on those packs.
$2 over, like $20 a pack, and they're going for 22 right now.
And you can only buy one each. Is that what it is?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
I'll double check for you. Yeah.
Are you able to see, like on Top Shot, what has not been opened yet? Is there a feature on Candy? So if you know there are how many legendaries in these packs?
I have no idea.
Is there just one or whatever? Like, can you
I don't think plays of the week have legendaries, do they?
I thought it did. I thought there was one. I thought the play of the week was a legendary, a 1 of 1. Or is it a 1 of 10? I don't know. It's something. It's one of the two. I think it's a 1 of 10.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Now, is there a way like?
No, you're right. There is a 1 of 10. So there's in the plays of the week. So there's only 10 that you can possibly pull. There's 4 cores that are minted to 284. There's 3 uncommons that are minted to 160. There's 2 rares that are minted to 35, and then there's 1 epic that's minted to 10. So you're right. So yeah, they do have a varying level of rarity. Yes.
Okay. But there's no way to see which ones have been opened and not opened. Is that correct? Like, you can't see what's out there. That's what I love about Top Shot, man. And they've had this feature for a long time, is that you can click on the actual moment, and it tells you from number 1 to 10 where these moments are. Are they still in a pack? Are they in the Top Shot account, or whose account they're in? I love that, because then you can actually, and the irony is that Top Shot, you can't sell packs, right? So that doesn't really matter there. But
you can see. No, you can see it. You can see it on each moments, or each they're not moments, but whatever. Every highlights thing. Yeah. So I'm just looking at like Aaron Judge. So Aaron Judge was the 1 of 10 in the first plays of the week. It was his first home run of the season. And yeah, there's 3 listed, there's 5 unlisted, and there's 2 still wrapped in
you can. You know what? I did know that. They have that little chart there when you click on the moment. Okay.
Yeah, so they have the chart. Yeah, so they do. So they do have that. And that's another thing too. The plays of the week. That's actually something I really like, and I didn't really realize. And maybe I'll make a bit more of an effort next week. Is that you are kind of playing, as much as you're very likely going to end up with 2 cores that are probably not worth very much. I do like the idea. And they'll never, obviously, there's something that legally they can't say. But I do like the idea of, like, you pay $20 and you're basically playing a lottery. Right. But I think that's like, you are collecting still, but I think the mix of, like, you're collecting and you're playing the lottery is kind of the right balance. And for $20 once a week, I think that's something where a lot of people are going to show up for that one chance, for the chance to get the 1 of 10 or 1 of 35 extra highlight. I think that's a really interesting structure, and kind of realizing that now. I didn't know that's how it worked. I'll definitely show up next week in the next couple of weeks, because I think that's cool. And then that way, I think last year too, because they were doing the plays of the day. And then what ended up happening is, obviously, you had the best plays be the most common, right? Because that's the one everybody wanted. Like, Ohtani hits 4 home runs in a game or something like that. Like, that was minted to like 2,000.
Miguel Cabrera's,
and then the rarest ones of the plays of the day were the garbage ones that nobody wanted. Right? So they're like, well, this one's only minted to 89, but it's because nobody fucking wants it. Whereas they're creating a scarcity. But so by making the best play of the week the rarest, that actually makes the most sense. You know what I mean? So this, like, yes, Judge, first home run of the MLB season. That is the best play that happened this week, or the most popular, let's say. So that does make sense to make that the rarest. So I like that a lot. I think that makes sense. That Judge one from last week, the floor is $650. The floor is $650. So that's pretty good.
Good. Absolutely. I love it. I'll be in on the next pack drop just for the hell of it. If they're reselling for the same price or whatnot, it's worth it. I'll take a shot with that and see what
I
happens.
think they're going to do it, Phil. They're going to do it every week, and they do it literally at the time that we start recording the show, which is 4 o'clock Eastern.
Right.
So what we could do, we could start, and I'm sure the candy people who listen to the show, they'll be very happy about this. If we start every podcast by trying to get those packs, that'd be kind of fun. But maybe if we do that, Candy, maybe if you guys are listening, you want to throw in a couple packs for some of our listeners or something like that. Come on, give us. Hey, did you see me from the First Minute Count trying to convince the Rainmakers people to give us packs? Did you see? Did you see that?
Didn't see it, no, I may have seen it. I'm not 100% sure.
I forgot what it was, but it was something. Let me go find it. It was Rainmakers came in and responded to like, what's that?
Did they reply?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
What did they say? I forgot. Oh, it's because we put up. What was it? I can't even find it anymore. I don't know where it was. But anyways, I told the Rainmakers account that they should give us a bunch of free packs, and I told them they should give us free PGA packs, and that they should give us the good ones, not the bad ones.
I did see that.
It's because no, you know what it was? Is last week we were putting up some fun questions on the First Mint Twitter, and I put up one that was, be honest, have you ever tried DraftKings Rainmakers? Why or why not? And a lot of different responses, like 40 different responses. And Rainmakers wrote back 2 googly eyes and wrote, "We're taking notes." And I wrote back from First Minute and said, "Please send PGA packs in exchange for the free market research, the good ones, not the booster stuff."
I took a shot at Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, in that thread.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you're not allowed to play
freaking rocks. This guy, man, takes away our DFS. Yeah. So
yeah. Hey, at least you got bucket beer, right? You got $1 beer. That was his big campaign promise.
Poutine hot dogs at the Jays tomorrow. At least we have that. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal, honestly. Okay, so we'll do some candy stuff next week, and who knows which play. Maybe the Jays will have a walk-off win for their home opener tomorrow night, and that'll be the play of the week or something like that. Nice, another Matt Chapman grand slam.
Very doubtful, but yeah, we'll see.
Another last thing about candy that I found out last week as well that's super cool, and we posted about it, was that they've been minting. They like have a full partnership with MLB to mint tickets, and I didn't know this. I don't think they advertise it at all, man. But there's been over like 2,000 ticket sales on the secondary market on candy, which is crazy because for months I've been like, come on, Dapper, give us more info about your freaking Ticketmaster thing. What's going on? And we can't get any info. And this whole time Candy's been doing it. And the way you get the tickets, it's only select games every month. Is it's fully built into the MLB fan app. So they're getting people to use the app, which people do already. I'm sure a couple million users.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like you get you sign into the game, right? You have the ticket on the app, and then you get emailed a link that says like, hey, go get the ticket on Candy, and then you can sell it. And people have been buying them, man. So I didn't know that was happening. So that's like, that to me is a huge unlock for NFTs. And again, it doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't need a bunch of secondary volume, but just that functionality, and also that buy-in from the MLB to let them put them in the app. To me, that's massive. Honestly, that's huge. Whether it's going anywhere beyond that, I don't know. But I think to me, it's like, hey, at least it's there and they're trying.
Listen, I've told you this many times in the last couple of weeks. I love Candy. I love what Candy is doing. But for me, again, this marketplace has to be fixed. It just does. You need to increase and better the user experience, because I love everything. It's one of the only projects out there, sports related, that takes me back to my youth. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again, collecting baseball stuff. Even maybe it's because they're just cards, but the fact that there's a mix of cards and kind of highlight reels, moments, if you want to call them. But again, it's such a turnoff. Some of the features that are either not right on the marketplace or that are not available. And it's really small stuff that I wish they would kind of put a bit more focus into and fixing those things just to increase the user experience. If you're making tickets to games and people are coming on your platform, how about you blow them away the minute they get there and not be like, oh, well, I was searching for the other ones and I couldn't find it, just because it's so confusing. Do you know what I mean? So, and I can't wait for the day until they kind of shy away from having these 4 different levels of scarcity for the moment of the exact same thing. Like that for me is another big turnoff. I'll collect the cores, but then it's like, if I want to own every single card that is a Toronto Blue Jays, I am not buying all the cores, the rares, the epics, and the legendaries of the exact same looking card. That is not appealing to me, and I want nothing to do with it. Like change it up a little bit, maybe do different sets, like on Top Shot, sets that have names. You want to release a ton of the same player, then put them in different sets with a different picture, and I'll buy it. Do you know what I mean?
Candy people, if you're listening, listen.
listening.
Phil D for hire. Okay, you can hire this man to give you all this advice, not for free. This advice is not free. Okay, so you can't go do any of that without paying Phil at least $10,000 an hour for his advice. Okay, that's how it goes. Same, and also Sweet. If anybody still works at Sweet, which has the NHL rights, we're available to consult and test run products and go to NHL games, only Leafs games.
Time's running out on you guys.
Seriously, time's already out. What are they going to launch something for the playoffs like next week? No way, man. There's no chance.
They could be the smart ones, though, LG. I've already said it. They could be the smart ones in the bunch, not to launch just to launch. They're just like, you know what? This is not looking good right now, market wise. We don't anticipate having more users than, like, say, something like UFC Strike or one of the smaller. You know what I mean? And if we don't, and if we see losses in the future because of it, then why are we even doing this? Right? What's the point? Right?
And I did argue with somebody about that on Twitter earlier when they were like, hey, listen, like, you know, did they, I think somebody wrote back to me after I posted about NHL. They said, perhaps the last thing they need is to be caught up in the echo chamber of suck. At this point, waiting to see if mass-produced unique NFTs is a thing might be the right play. But to me, it's like, well, listen, you've got every other league that's gone out and done the research for you, good or bad, both fantasy and collectible. Like, you have every bit of information you could ever need, every piece of infrastructure, a bunch of different blockchains that have all been built out now that have, there's, if you want to go to Flow, there's ticketing. Like, you could design anything. You know, like that's to me that I think a lot of these companies kind of miss with this stuff. They all kind of copy each other, which is very much a brand and big company thing to do. But it's like, I still don't think that, like, NFTs, especially in sports, it's like, this is like the most creative open canvas that you could have ever imagined. Every single person in the fucking universe has a smartphone in their pocket and likes staring at pictures on it. And and every single one of your fans does that and interacts with your league on a regular basis. There's no, to me, it's like, this is the most open white page blanket you could ever have. So if you're someone like the NHL who desperately needs something like this, this is, you know, the chance to make something really remarkable to me is there. Whether they will be able to do that, whether they will have revenue targets that are way beyond what's realistic, who knows? So we'll have to wait and see on that one, Phil. Phil, did you let's jump over to Top Shot and Dapper to kind of round things out today. Did you try and go for the pack drop last week, the legendary Top Shot 50 drop?
I don't think I qualified, to be honest with you.
Qualify, hey, yeah.
Right? Like, I have 280 moments almost, or roughly, and I don't qualify for these drops.
Your score wasn't like 100,000 or whatever it was.
It's not. No, I don't. I don't really know why. I did get an email though that I sent you. I'm like, oh shit, they screwed up again. They're like, they said that I won something, and I never.
Yeah, you were on the leaderboard. Yeah, you were.
But apparently, I was.
Series 4 leaderboard. Apparently, you were. Yeah. So Phil snapped. Phil sent me a text the other night, be like, oh my god, another major Top Shot fuck up pack rip. What's going on? And it was because he had actually won legitimately. He was on the top 1,000 for the Top Shot Series 4 leaderboard or something like that. You're getting like a free Excel pack.
Locked leaderboard,
leaderboard, yeah. So you've been buying and unlocking Series 4 moments, but you thought it was like a scam or that it was an error, but it turns out you are actually getting a pack. So congratulations, Phil.
I did. I opened it. The value of the pack was $5, which is
okay.
Listen, it's free, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, it's free.
I love getting it free. Fun. I still don't know how I got on there, but hey, I got on there and I finally legitimately won something with Top Shot. Now, I have to say that tweet they put out, they're like, reply with your username and we'll gift all sorts of people stuff on Sunday. I'm like, screw that. I've done this so many times. I never win anything. And I didn't. Then I saw all these people start winning. But the funny thing is they didn't start rewarding people on Sunday. They started on Saturday. So like mass panic blew up. I started putting my name in there like, yo, give me some of that. And I replied and I didn't win it. So
Packers,
I do enjoy
shit, man. Packers not giving you shit after all our huge Twitter beef from a couple months ago. Man. There's no way. Just like if you were running a contest and Packer responded, would you send him something? No way.
No comment.
I like that. I like that the beefs, even though they're over, that they still influence decisions, whether that's true or not.
You can forgive, but you'll never forget.
You'll never forget. Yeah, that's
nope.
You know, actually, what I did yesterday, you'll like this. When I was on with Jen Sudo, we started talking about, you know, what it means to be like a person of influence, right? That people listen to you, but that also now people dig up old tweets from like 2 years ago about Top Shot. And I brought up a tweet that she had written like 2 years ago when Top Shot was like in total free fall in the marketplace. And she wrote this tweet. It's hilarious. And again, we all wrote tweets like this. So, but I don't know why I just remembered this one from Jen, and she reminisced like a champ on it, because she does acknowledge that it was pretty crazy to write this. But she wrote something like 2 years ago to the day almost, about when Top Shot was in free fall, and she's like, everybody relax, just walk away from your computer for 2 weeks and everything will be back to normal when you come back. And it was like, no, Jen, no.
that is classic.
That's not beef. Love Jen. I don't mean to poke fun at her or anything like that. But I just, in terms of the forgive but not forget kind of thing, I'm like, I think we all have a pretty deep memory, especially when it comes to Top Shot,
that was
and stuff like that.
That really hits a note, because I know exactly when she posted that. I don't remember that tweet.
Yeah, see, you remember it too. I mean, if you just remember it, yeah.
But no, but I remember the time. It was a span of like 2 or 3 days where we were at our highest ever, and everything changed like minute to minute back then. It wasn't a thing of like day to day. So I'm surprised she said day. But I'm in a chat. I was in a chat group with all these guys I knew from the NBA 2K League, which ironically enough, when Top Shot crashed, I haven't talked to any of them since, and that chat group's completely dead. But at the time, one of them, who is a famous broadcaster for them now, came in and said, guys, because that group by the day was growing of people who were jumping into Top Shot. They were adding people every day that had just invested. They were new. And when things started to plummet, I'll never forget it. He came in and said, guys, everyone go for dinner, come back in a few hours, and we'll be back in business. And I remember it never, ever recovering after that. Seriously, that was like, man, that for whatever reason, that moment stuck with me. Because when he said that, we never got back to the point. That was for me the exact moment that it started going down. Now, you still had a window of a couple of weeks to offload stuff. Like I remember even after the big dip, I was selling Lucas for, $500 or $600 US, which felt like a massive loss. I'm like, oh man, could have sold these for $800 or $900 last week, right?
Compared to what they were before, absolutely, it was a massive loss. Yeah.
So, there was that period of time, but that comment by Jen hit some mark, because of so many people were saying that. They're like, just take a deep breath, come back in a couple hours, come back tomorrow, and your numbers will be right back up. And we were so foolish, man. Like looking back, like something like that is just not sustainable. It's wild. That's we're not getting into all that again, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I love.
We didn't know, and that's kind of like what Jen and I talked about on the show yesterday. Is that like especially she kind of like talked about her position there. She's like, listen, I was trying to be positive, right? Because at the time, if you said the opposite, if you're like, hey, things are going down and they're going to keep going down, we're kind of fucked, then you'd get dumped on. Right. And people hated that. They didn't want to hear that. And she, she tries to be really positive about this kind of stuff. So she's like, listen, I was just trying to be positive. And I think a lot of people were, and it was kind of an impossible situation, right? Where it's like, it wasn't any influencer's fault. There's way too much supply and the boom was over. So there was only one direction that it could be going at that point. And it is what it is. Now 2 years on, hey, we still talk about it. We still talk about Top Shot. Some of us are still here. You still enjoy it as a collecting experience. It's good that you're enjoying it. And I really do think that they're kind of finding slowly that minimum viable product, whatever it is, in terms of like the collecting and the platform. But at the same time, things like Top Shot 50, I think are like a really interesting thing, Phil. And this is where, to me, the biggest issue, and I wrote this in the newsletter the other day, but to me, the biggest issue still is supply, right? And timing of the supply, right? You've got this drop that happened the other day. I registered for one. All right. I locked in my $500 to buy one, but did not get one, and joined the queue, did not get one. I did want one of the packs. But the packs featured 18 of the 50 Top Shot 50 players, right? As voted by the players themselves or whatever it is. And the season is over. The season is fucking over. It's playoff time, baby. You know what I mean? We're talking playoffs. We're not talking let's honor the players through the season. Like that's over. Like we don't care about half the players on that list because they're not going to matter in 2 weeks, right? So it's like, and that's only 18 out of the 50. So there's still another freaking 32 legendaries that have to be released, that they're going to have to find a way to get people excited for while doing, if they are doing a playoff campaign, whatever that is, while they're doing that at the same time. And also as interest in basketball slowly wanes, because it's like, listen, man, by the conference finals, it's like there's only 4 teams. Yeah, people are watching, but like you don't care about the freaking, I'm sorry, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He ain't going to be there. You know what I mean? So it's like you're only so excited about a legendary of his at that point. Maybe you are, but it's like not the same as if it was January, right? So, and I know they had trouble, they couldn't release that earlier because, supply issues then, but it's like now there's that, and they still have to release all those spotlight moments, Phil, that I know you're very excited.
I didn't even want to bring it up. There's 75 left. So
that's it, right? It's like the
it's
supply.
Time to cut your losses.
The supply
like,
of the regular season should be over, and it should be only playoffs. If there is playoff stuff, it should only be that. And then there's supply at the end of the year because they also have the leaderboard thing for the MVP award and for the other awards, which is cool. It's like, so if you whoever wins Defensive Player of the Year, the people at the top of the leaderboard of I guess it'll be Jared Jackson. It's just like they will win some new moment of his, right? Like that's cool. That's a great way to use the platform. But in terms of like feeling forced to release all this extra supply, it's like, honestly, I can't imagine anybody be upset if tomorrow they're like, hey, the rest of those legendaries, the rest of those spotlights, the rest of all that shit, none of it's coming out. None of it is coming out because it's too much. I don't think anybody would be upset about that, So I think they got to change that. And also, Phil, another wave of supply that comes along every year that we always forget about, and it's the season starts in a month, is the WNBA.
Oh my God. All right, cool. I mean, yeah, I listen, hey, we don't have a team in Toronto yet, and I probably have a lot more interest.
They've been trying to get one. Yeah, they've been trying to get one.
There's the first ever WNBA game in Toronto coming up in May or June. That's a big event here. I know they sold a lot of tickets for it. They're selling merch right now. They're trying to make it a huge event, but I think Toronto will come out and support the team. The team's playing.
Oh, for sure. Toronto fans just gobble up any. Like I don't mean it this way, but like Toronto fans have a huge appetite for sports across all different things.
Where does Kia Nurse play now?
I think the WNBA would be freaking massive if they had a team in Toronto. I think that would have the chance to be the most popular WNBA team.
This city embraced the Toronto Phantoms, which was an arena football team. I know because I had season tickets. They only lasted one season, then they were gone. But I had season tickets, and it was one hell of an experience.
We went. You brought me to a game. I was like 12. You brought me to a game. I had the football for a long time. I think you still have it, like the actual football you could get. Kia, she plays in Seattle. I think she signed with Seattle this year.
I think they kind of screwed up with not. I know it's hard because you don't know where she was going to play, but it kind of sucks that the biggest possible star on the Canadian national basketball team women's side is not playing in that game. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like having, what can I compare it to? Let me see. It's almost like having a massive MLB game in the Netherlands and not having Xander Bogaerts in that game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or having
even like even the NBA Paris game this year. Who are the French players? It was the Bulls and Detroit.
Yeah.
Are there any French players on either team?
No, I don't know. That's exactly
right. So how could you not have? Honestly, how would you not send like Rudy Gobert's team or whoever over there? Right. Like.
Right. But it's true though. It kind of doesn't make sense, right? Like to me, it's just a random game. So it's I don't know. For me, it's but yeah, those packs are coming for sure. And I'm not.
Yeah. Anyways, back to it. Those packs are coming.
I do buy the Kia Nurse moments though. She's Canadian, so she's part of my collection.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can buy those. I just think it's like it's just another wave of supply that comes usually at a point in the NBA Top Shot season where it's like there's already too much supply and people are drowning. In the last 2 years in playoff supply. So it's always, I think, a bit of a hard pill to swallow. And then usually the best WNBA stuff is coming at the end of the season, which is usually when the NBA is starting again. So I think a bit of a rough go for the WNBA stuff, but we'll see. Hopefully some major reductions in supply there as well. So Phil, the last thing I want to talk about, we're actually talking NFT stuff, is the Dapper play policy. So this came out Friday afternoon. And I think Mike Zakarian pointed this out too, that, Friday afternoon is a very convenient time, especially for a long weekend, to dump some very important news. For anybody who follows like the tech world, the stock world, or anything, the worst news that your company has to put out usually is on a Friday afternoon. It's a Friday afternoon news dump. So I don't know if Dapper intended it this way, or if they intended it to release it at the same time that the Top Shot 50 pack was dropping, because it's kind of related. Because Phil, in this new Dapper play policy, employees can now buy packs. They can now open packs. Prior to the policy, they were not able to buy packs. They can only buy on the marketplace, and they were not allowed to sell while they are Dapper employees. But now they can participate in pack drops for Top Shot, All Day, Strike, La Liga, whatever else is on there. Any immediate reaction to that, Phil?
None whatsoever. As irrelevant as it gets, to be honest with you. I mean, they either have like a ton of Dapper balance, all of them, and they just want to like pump things up a little bit, or I don't know. To me, it was so like I didn't even know what the purpose of this was. It was kind of it should almost be a disclaimer. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, how many employees are there to begin with? Like 15?
Couple hundred.
Is that what it is? A couple hundred?
Yeah, Dapper has a lot. Dapper has a lot of employees. I mean, they build all. They manage all the flow and stuff like that. It's not easy to maintain all that. So
who cares?
Although they try and pretend like they're separate companies, but
it's not like you're buying packs and selling them for double. That doesn't exist anymore. Do you know what I mean? So they're playing the same.
Well, they can't sell anything. They can't sell anything, but they can lock things. They can get airdrops. They can do all that. I think kind of like the surface justification is that it's like, hey, it's important for employees to experience the product, so that they can understand what it's like to buy a $500 pack and get shit moments, right, or vice versa. But the only really interesting wrinkle in here, Phil, is that what happens if they pull a serial number. Or if they pull a legendary in a mixed pack. So I'm gonna read to you what it says. All packs. So part number 2 of this Dapper play policy is pack drops. You are permitted to join all available pack drops, is what it says. I'm reading from it, unless otherwise noted under the following conditions: A, all packs, standard and blended. If your pack contains a number 1 jersey match or perfect match serial number, so like the last serial of the thing, you are required to notify, I'm assuming, your manager within 24 hours, or you will receive the greater of fair market value as determined by live token or average selling price in the form of Dapper balance in exchange for the moment you pull. So this is actually really interesting. So what they're doing is that if you pull a number 1 serial, right? So if let's say you're pulling a freaking Donovan Mitchell common, but you get the number 1 serial, which will probably go for a couple $100 instead of like $2. What Dapper is offering is to look at live tokens algorithm that'll tell you how much that's worth, and that Dapper will buy that moment from the employee.
That's hilarious.
In exchange for its value. Right, so that's actually kind of interesting, because then it's like, so even when they do pull really good stuff, Dapper doesn't want them to miss out on that value, so they'll literally just give them the money and then take it. I guess I don't know what happens in the moment after. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Sure.
That they're trying to think of all angles. But I agree with you. It is kind of a non-point. It's just like just let them play.
Not anymore. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here that's like, obviously don't use the confidential information. There's no way to ever be 100% bulletproof on that. But inevitably, it's like this is not a high stakes game as it used to be. Right. I think this kind of stuff
that's exactly it.
Would have just nuked everything. At this point, it's like, yeah, let them play. Like who fucking cares? Like there's only so many times there's only so much news on Top Shot that
the more the merrier.
Like there's only so many times on Top Shot, All Day or Striker, La Liga, where there's news and moments start running. Like that barely happens anymore. It should happen more. That'd make it more exciting, but it barely happens. So it's like there's only so much news that they could front run with information. Even if they wanted to do that, they're not allowed to. But that's very, very seldom, I think, at this point for that to be an actual advantage.
Agreed.
Wow. Okay. Phil just does not want to talk about the play policy.
I have no interest in it. I mean, they made their announcement. I saw Zakarian commenting on it, but yeah, I would have posted a bunch of Z's like Snorefest.
I'm the only person who wants to talk about it. Okay, let's get to quick hits and then
yeah. But hold on, I have something to say.
Oh, okay. He does have something to say. Wait, what did you say? Wait, what did you say?
I've got some announcements to make right now, man. Like I got a lot of shit to say, and I want to say it right now.
I do. I've been waiting to say this the entire show, to be honest with you. Okay. So today at work, I had my personal review. All right. That usually comes after. Yeah. So that usually comes after we get our bonus. They kind of go. Ooh. So the way it works is that every employee has process partners. Those are people who are going to say good things about you because you usually pick some people you know, right? And the people you've worked closely with. But then there's a round table between all the managers and executives where they come up with a grade for you. And they come up with notes and shit like that. Okay. Yeah. Somehow we don't get to have an employees roundtable and talk shit about them. So I don't know how that works. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Damn, man, I haven't worked in a real company in a really long time. So this hasn't happened for me in a really long time.
So
that's hilarious.
So once that's done, they give you a grade. People are always furious about their grades. Like, of course, the grade just never changes. For me, I'm used to it. I'm not going to go above and beyond and bump myself up like a bunch of grades by staying till like 10 p.m. and doing. That's just not my style. Okay, yeah. I do what I have to do. I do it very well, and I do a lot of stuff. But it's hard to move up and down in terms of grades. So it's always the same thing every year. Yeah. So then after you get your bonus, the boss calls you in a couple days later and goes over the notes of what people said. So I'm always waiting to hear this. I'm like, I want to hear what people say. And, you did this well, you did this well, but I don't care about that stuff. I want to hear about the other stuff. If there's other stuff, I want to hear about it. So he said, one executive brought up something about you. And I'm like, oh, here we go. This is good. And that one thing is that you socialize and talk about sports a little too much. Okay? Seriously, word for word. Okay.
No.
And I'm just sitting there with my jaw down, like, hold on a second here. Okay. First of all, the field of work that I'm in, I don't get lunch breaks. I can't because we're on deadline based. Okay. I don't get breaks. I don't get anything. It's not that I don't get them. I can't take them. I don't have time, or else I run out of time in a day. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I'm sitting there for 5 minutes talking to someone on our floor about the Jays game last night or about the Super Bowl, okay, that's my break. All right. And that's the only time it happens. And I will say this, 99% of the time, people come up to me to talk about sports.
They want to talk to you.
And the best part about all that is that the CFO of the company almost every single day comes up to me to talk about soccer and German soccer and Premier League soccer. The biggest exec possible after the president comes up to me to start sports discussions. Okay. He plays on our company's soccer team. He's from Germany. He loves talking soccer. Okay. He finished second in our World Cup pool at work. And you know what he did with the winnings? He gave it back and said, let's have a huge breakfast for everybody who was in this World Cup pool.
That's nice.
And I'll pay for it. This is how much of a sports fan he is. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I don't understand. But here's what my boss said. He said every single other executive in that room stood up for you and said, nope, that's actually a good thing. All right. Our office is full of robots ever since the pandemic started. It's people who there's nothing I can't stand more than walking in the hallway. Someone walks by, they don't even look up. Okay. You may not know me and I may not know you, but just say hi, say good morning. Don't walk down looking at the ground and be like, pretending you're reading your papers that you just grabbed from the printer. All right. I know all those tricks. I've tried to avoid people before.
Oh my God.
But the energy that I bring to the floor, all right, and I've heard this from many people, and I don't try and do it. It's just what comes out, is actually a huge positive. And I've never heard anyone annoyed. So I don't know if they were really this person must have been grasping at straws to find something to say about me. And
they got to find something wrong. Yeah.
Right.
They always like that. Yeah.
About me, I told my boss, I said, I have nothing to say. I'm happy. I'm good. All right. Because I'm not going to stop doing that. It's part of the social aspect. You cannot sit on your computer at work for 8 hours straight and just do work. That's wild. Okay. People need to release. People need to talk. Right. And I don't just do it about sports. I'll talk about anything. Right. But I do love that it was shut down by the execs. And the reason it was shut down by all the others is because they're the ones who actually initiate the convos with me.
They want to come talk to you about sports. Yeah. That's how it works. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So,
oh my God.
So that was actually pretty funny. It was quite the event. And I was just like, dude, don't even start, man. I don't want to hear this. Honestly. Seriously, this is all you have right now. And this must be the same person, LG, that during the pandemic, when the Canada-US border was closed, okay, I was at work on a Friday afternoon, only one in the office. Only a couple other people were allowed to be there. I was one of them.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, I went to a beach in Port Stanley, Ontario. Beautiful beach with Baywatch-style lifeguards, jet skis that rescue you if you're drowning, all that shit. And I took a picture and a video and I put it on Instagram and I put that I was in the Jersey Shore. Okay. It looked like the Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah. You talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Talked about this many times.
Yeah.
And sure enough, somebody saw it. I was back at the office on Monday morning. Someone reported to HR that I was in the Jersey Shore. Something tells me that this is the same person that really, really has some kind of issue and is grasping at any straw they can. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't understand the purpose. But I will not stop talking sports. That's my life, man. This is what I do. So when I work, that's my release for 5 minutes is to talk about the game last night or to talk about hockey, whatever, right? But pretty wild that came up as the only issue. Right? I was like, what?
Otherwise, was a good review or a standard review?
A standard review. And I'm glad I didn't have to hear about any sort of tires on employee cars. Because people ask me about that and I don't even know what they're talking about.
Everybody wants to know about that, man.
I don't even know what that is. People keep asking me. I'm like, I never told a story like that. So who knows what they're talking about? And just for context, after that episode aired, and I won't even say what it is, I had an exec. This is funny. We're talking about executives come up to me and be like, hey, I didn't know you were famous online. I just found your podcast. I'm like, okay. So that episode we recorded yesterday, LG, we need to remove some stuff. Okay.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, that was pretty wild. What were the odds of saying that the day after I, kind of just did a stupid thing and talked about that? It was like,
did he tell anybody else that you're an online celebrity?
I don't know. We don't know. And I don't even know how he found me. Like, what was he looking at my LinkedIn? No, there's no link there. Or maybe it was LinkedIn. I am associated with the First Mint on there, but I do on all my socials. I also have a link there. Right. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't want to say anymore because this person might be listening, but
it wouldn't be hard to find. It wouldn't be hard to find. Like if you Googled this would come up pretty quickly.
The problem, LG, that people know is that I'm literally the TMZ at my office. And shocking. I know so much stuff about people that if people were to publish, if anyone was to try anything with me, it's like, wait, what does the real Phil D know about me? Oh, never mind. I'm not doing it. You know? So I know a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. And I don't think anybody would try it. So we'll see. But anyways, great episode. This whole tire thing people are talking about, I'm not too sure. But if you want to discuss, send me a DM and I'll gladly discuss.
All right, let's jump over. We got hot take coming up in a second here. But first, we got to do quick hits. And I've got 2 quick hits for you, Phil. And this is, we're not talking about these for 10 minutes each. These are 30-second pieces, okay? The first one, Shaquille O'Neal is being accused of evading his court summons for his involvement in in promoting FTX. So every other celebrity who promoted FTX has responded to their court summons. They're going to have to, I guess, go to court to talk about being paid by FTX to promote FTX. But Shaq is dodging it. He continues to dodge it. It's been 5 months. He's been evading it. And the craziest part is that this is from Daniel Wallach, who's been reporting on this, or I guess reported about it just the other day. This is on Friday. He wrote a thread, and he wrote that the process server attempting to serve Shaquille O'Neal at his Texas residence received this chilling text message following the 8th such attempt to find Shaq. And the text message said, "Shaq lives in the Bahamas, you stupid fuck. Give Beth Shaw my regards." Beth Shaw is the wife of the process server, which they later said that means that whoever, like, there's no way the person who's managing Shaq, who's responding to this, would have known that guy's wife's name, which is creepy, obviously. So that means they definitely got they received the messages of the attempts and looked the guy up and now are just like taunting him. So not a good look for Shaq as he evades the law. And also, if they want to find Shaq, dude is in a studio in Atlanta 2 times a week, man. It's not hard to fucking find him. So that's quick hit number 1. Wow. Quick hit number 2 is about Des Bryant. Do you hear about Des Bryant? And
no, I didn't hear this.
Des Bryant, who's one of the very early supporters of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, was hacked the other night, and his ape was stolen from him. And quickly, the internet detectives, who all were probably big Des Bryant fans, don't want him to lose his ape, went to work. Oh, and Des Bryant follows us, by the way, no big deal. Went to work to figure out what happened to Dez's ape. What did Des click on? If that is what happened, or how did somebody get access to his wallet? And it turns out that he may have clicked on something titled MILF token, that Des Bryant may have clicked on a contract titled MILF token when he was fished or when his ape was stolen. So who knows why Des Bryant is hanging out on a Thursday night clicking on MILF token. Who knows if he was clicking on it because he thought it was an investment opportunity or if he thought it was something else. But Des Bryant now short one Bored Ape Yacht Club token because of his interest in MILF token. So those are the quick hits.
I think he has an interest in MILFs in general. I mean, a guy like that probably has been with quite a few MILFs in his life. So yeah,
that's what I was implying, Phil, is that I think he was way more interested in the MILF part than the token part. But hey, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
He strikes me as a guy who's just has no clue what he's doing. He's just clicking on anything, like no clue, right? Like easy target, if you ask me. Like as involved as he's been in NFTs, I still get the feeling when he gets on the computer, he's probably like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just clicking any link you can find. So yeah, not surprised. Wow.
All right, Phil, we've come to the end and it's time for the hot take of the week. And again, reminder, if you want to participate in the hot take, we post it every Monday morning on the First Mint Twitter account. And I read some of the best responses to Phil, and then he picks his favorite one out of all the responses that we read to him. And then whoever wins, whichever one he picks, gets a prize. Phil does not look at the responses before. He doesn't know who's saying them, so there's no bias towards certain people. And obviously, Phil goes more towards answers that he thinks are funny or very bizarre or whatever. So, Phil, today's question. Did you see what today's question was? Did you get a look at it? I
saw the question. Yes.
Okay, so today's question was, you have 5 words to convince a child that NFTs are the future. What do you say? Okay. And one of the things we got, somebody wrote in our Discord, I think it was Dr. Lumpia, wrote, you can tell from the responses that a lot of people don't have children.
I love it. Well, I'll be familiar with these. This is good.
Yeah. Okay. And also, people wasting their answer. Milbury immediately asked, "How old is the child?" Legit probably guides how I go about it, which is just totally wasting your answer. So, okay, where are the actual responses? Where do you find these? Okay, here we go. So, Phil, I'm going to read them to you. Would I lie to you? Imagine toys you never pick up.
Okay, hold on. Stop for 1 second. What is word for word the question again?
You have 5 words to convince a child that NFTs have a future. What do you say? So what are the 5 words?
Okay, keep going.
So everybody's just writing 5 words.
Yeah.
So would I lie to you and imagine toys you never pick up? Dude, big kids buy NFTs. And then there's a GIF from what's Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. Paw Patrol will be an NFT. I think this should work. So I guess that's 2 answers. So maybe that doesn't really count.
Paw Patrol will be an NFT.
Candy, good. NFTs equal candy.
That's creepy. That's like trying to
2023 version of Pokemon cards. Becomes sports car when you're 18. More generous than Tooth Fairy. This could pay for college. That's not, the kids don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, no.
Play fun candy colors doodles.
Very creepy again. No. If you're trying to lure kids with the word candy, I'm sorry, that's just not going to cut it.
Your cartoons are your money. Have evidence if mama sells. What? Bluey loves this stuff. I've watched some Bluey. Son, this isn't 2023 anymore.
Did you pick the best of, or you're just going through all of them?
I'm just reading them. Proof that you own it. No cap, bro, on God. What? This is just so random.
That's good.
It is eco-friendly, son or daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, it's KD.
Okay, hold on. So far, I'll tell you what I've got.
Yeah, tell me what you like so far.
Well, what was read me the first, I don't know if this is easy or not. I forgot to note it down, but at the very beginning, one of the first 3. Is there any way to find those again real quick?
Yes. Would I lie to you? Imagine toys you never pick up, and dude, big kids buy NFTs. And Paw Patrol will be an NFT.
Okay.
Candy good, NFTs equal candy.
I like the dude, big kids buy NFTs.
Okay.
I like the one we just heard. The no cap on God.
No cap, bro, on God. Okay.
Yes, I like that. Okay. Now keep going. You can keep going from there.
Yo, it's KD. Collectible digital cartoon art, money. I forbid you from buying. Best decision of your life. Want to see your star.
Man,
your parents think it's dumb. Don't waste your money, kid. You won't get beat up. Instant access, no fakes / alterations. Man, Lumpia wasn't kidding, man. Some of you guys really have no children. It's 100-year product. Rip pack anytime you want. Imagine Roblox for parents. Turn your fun into money.
Why would that attract a kid? They like Roblox. Okay.
There is free pizza. Only babies don't own NFTs. Not for toddlers. Stay away. Grandma says cards are worthless. Are there any of these that you like?
No.
Okay. Lifetime Candy Crush Battle Pass. Closet monsters hate NFTs. YouTube said it was cool. You can't touch them. This is your future inheritance.
I don't even know what that means. That word would not resonate with a single kid.
Unlimited, authentic, secure toy store. Don't have to clean up. And then the last one that I think was hidden on Twitter. NFTs are the future, bitch. And it's a drawing of a dude kicking a child into the sky.
That's good. Listen, I love that one, but I don't think our mother would appreciate me picking one with the B word in there. So, and I know she's listening. There's no chance I'm picking that one. I have to go with no cap on God, man. That's exact. Listen,
nice.
I have 2 kids that are teenagers, and I can't tell you, even though I was recently a teenager, more than so than other parents. Like I'm telling you right now, all the kids that are my kids' age, the parents are like 50, 60. All right, I'm way younger than all of them. And I still don't understand what half the words these kids say to each other and in their text message. When I look at the text messages, dude, it looks like another language. So when I hear these things like no cap and on God, it's not like extreme teenager lingo because it's evolved way beyond that. But they would actually probably perk up and listen to what I have to say after that if I started with those words. I would have their attention. Inheritance and things like that, they'd be like, all right, get out of here. You know what I mean? The other stuff they probably don't understand. The candy stuff, very creepy. Anything to lure kids is creepy. But
I mean, we said child, right? We said child, so I think maybe people might have interpret like it was up to interpretation. I didn't say how old the child is. You're technically considered a child until you're 18. So,
but children 5 or 6 now talk like this. They do. I'm not even joking. This no cap on God, all that stuff is for little children now. They all use it. So I'm going with that one. I have no idea who said it, but I like that one.
Nice. It was let's see. Cricklin King. Here, I'll pull it up. Is this guy? I don't know. Who is it? Cricklin King, if you're a longtime listener, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. This person, Cricklin King.
Nice. Well, and here's the other thing. When you're playing these contests, okay, and you know something about me, you know what kind of replies I like, okay? You kind of have to play into that. Some of these replies were maybe better than that one, but they weren't better for me. This is the kind of stuff I love. Right? Yeah. So just the generic answer, like that's kind of like the right answer, like don't waste your time or something like that. That's great, but doesn't tickle my fancy, right? So on cap.
Well, there you have it, folks.
No cap.
No cap.
On God.
No cap, bro. Right on. Well, Phil D, this has been another fascinating episode of The First Mint. Thank you for joining. Congrats on your very steady employee review, performance review. Very happy for you. I don't think I've had a performance review in like 15 years. It's been a long time.
Gather the First Mint faithful and we'll give you one.
Can we do it in the bull market, please? Like that'd be a lot more. That'd be a lot more fun. Yeah. If somebody wants to give me a performance review, feel free to write in. Just maybe, if it's a nice one, just write it on iTunes. I'll take that as the performance review. How about that? But Phil, thanks so much, bro. Okay. Great episode. And we'll be back next week with more hot takes and more great thoughts on the world of sports NFTs. Till then, take it easy.
See ya.